The first thing that I wanted to ask you about is, like, tell me the first day when you walk into the prison, like, you get sentenced, you get out of the court, all that bullshit, and now you're walking into the Texas State Prison first time, not jail, first time. Walk me through the first day.
Dude, you're not messing around. You want to start right where it happens, man, where the rubber meets the road.
Let's go.
It's interesting. Ken, it's interesting you say that too, because I was just had a meeting with some Hollywood with a studio, and Dak Prescott's my partner in this deal, the quarterback from the Cowboys, and we were just having this dinner the other night, and everybody's like, "Where does this movie start?" And somebody at that meeting was like, "The day you walk in." So I just got sentenced to 65 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. And what this means is 65 years in Texas is a life sentence in Texas, because everything stops at 60 as far as on the calculating the timesheets, right? So anytime a jury gives you 65 or 85 or 99 or say the word life, what they really mean is 60, because 60 is a natural life sentence of a human being. And in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, if you get a life sentence, you cannot live with the rest of the general population in the prison system. You have to live on a maximum security level 5 penitentiary. Level 5s are the hardest security prison there is, man. This is the highest security level there is. And when you're a lifer, you have to live with other lifers. And on the Mark Stiles unit where I go to prison, one of the toughest prisons in Texas, probably one of the toughest prisons in America. The Mark Stiles unit, the lifers live on a building called 7 Building. 7 Building is an island. There's 432 men that live on 7 Building. Every man's got life. 98% of these guys are never leaving this building, man. Not alive. I'm one of the 2%. I've got a non-aggravated crime, right? But I got a life sentence, so I have to live with the lifers. In Dallas County Jail, I ran into this old black Muslim guy named Mohammed. Now, Mohammed told me what to expect on the first day. He told me a lot of things. We're going to get back to what he talked about. Remember to ask me about the coffee bean. But Mohammed told me, he said, when you walk in the door the first day, you're going to be approached first by a white guy because you're white. He said, the first guy that approaches you is not a threat to you. He's an information guy. He's a scout. He'll ask you one relevant question in his first conversation. What gang are you going to be a part of? He said, get him out of your face as fast as you can, and then get your head on a swivel and get ready, because the second guy coming up to you, he's not going to talk to you, man. He's the enforcer. He said, when the second guy gets within range of you, put your fist in his mouth. He said, hit this fool as hard as you can. Get the jump on your first fight. And the reason why he's telling me this, Ken, right after I get sentenced to life in prison, my mom has this conversation with me, and she tells me, you can't come back as someone we don't recognize. You can't come back as something opposite to what the man we raised. And she tells me you cannot get into a gang, one of these white hate groups, these Aryan Brotherhood gangs. You were never raised to be a racist. She's telling me you can't get any tattoos while you're in there. So I've got this directive from my mom, and Muhammad knows I want to keep this promise. But he's telling me, man, you're about to go against the grain in this place. You're going to go up against all kinds of living hell. And then he's also telling me what to expect in there. He said, because you're this middle-class, well-spoken, college-educated white guy that played Division I college football. You worked the best jobs in the world. You were a stockbroker. You worked in Congress. You worked for a guy running for president. He said, everybody's going to hate you in there, the whites, the blacks, everybody, because you look and talk like the man, and the man put them there. So a lot of people in prison feel like they're a victim, and they're the victim, and the person that victimized them is the man. The man is society. It's the system, right? It's everything that goes against you whenever you're trying to come up. And look, there's a lot of different Americas to grow up in, so I understand the idea of the man. But Muhammad's telling me, you look and speak like the man, get ready, because now they're going to have a chance to kill the man. So the first day I walk in, man, they get you off the prison bus, and Muhammad told me, he's just like almost like he's in my head the whole time. He said they're going to separate you out from everybody else because you're the only life on the bus, most likely. They separate you out. He said they're going to take you to the life sentence building, and he said, get ready when it happens. It's called your heart check. The heart check is the most important flight of prison, first day. So I walk into 7 Building that day, man. I got a mattress under one arm. I got a couple bags of property. The guards escort me. And the guard's screaming at me to go into the pod. But, man, once I go in, man, there's no way I'm getting out of this place. But I know I got to go. I can't stay in the hallway forever. So I take the biggest step of my life into this pod that day, and the door closed behind me. Boom! And I look up, I'm in this giant room with 3 levels of cells. I mean, the inmates are hanging on the railings, too. Prison's loud. You worked in a prison. You know how loud it is inside this place, man. There's dominoes slamming, the TV's on, you hear people screaming. But as soon as that door closed behind me, the volume drops to 0. Shoo. And everybody's staring at the new guy that just walked in. It's like the worst first day of school ever, Kim.
Is it the same thing for every new guy after you've been there for a while? Is that the routine at that prison? Because every prison is different. When I worked at the prison, a guy would walk in and someone would just start screaming, that's the one, he's the rapist, he's a pedophile. And he would be like, some people would be like, I've been here before. And other people would be like, it wasn't me.
No, it's a good question. Good question. And I'm going to answer that in a second, because I'm going to tell you, because it's different for different people, different cultures too that come in there. So So I walk in that first day, and I got that mattress and warm, and Mohammed's telling me, he said, do not run to your bunker if the guys are scared. He said, you walk in that day room, put your bags down, put your back against the wall, and let it happen. And I walk in there, man, and I start looking for myself because I'm making a run for it. I'm like, forget what Mohammed said. Mohammed's not here with you right now, man. I'm here by myself, right? And that's one of the things I want people to understand, man. When you go to prison, you take a lot of people with you, man. You take your victims with you. You take your family with you, everybody that's ever believed in you. You take the taxpayers on a ride because they're going to pay for it all. You take yourself to prison. But when those doors close behind you, none of those people are there with you. You're there by yourself, man. And then in that moment, that first day in prison, I'm going to make a run for it. I'm looking for, my cell is 45 cells. So I start looking for 45 cell, but it's up on the third tier by the showers. Furthest cell from the door. I'm like, I'm not going to make it, man. So Ken, man, reluctantly, I put my mattress down, put my bags down, put my back against the wall, and I waited. Didn't take 5 minutes, man. Here he comes. Little bitty white dude, little bald-headed white dude comes up at first, man. And he's tatted up from head to toe. Even his eyelids are tatted up. He gets in my face. He says, hey, white boy, what family are you riding with? They call gangs families. A gang is not a family. And I'm like, man, get out of my face, little dude. I'm riding with God. Please just leave me alone. And I'm riding with God. I'm pleading with him, man. He laughed at me. He said, God isn't here, white boy. He said, we kicked him out of here a long time ago. He said, God's been gone, but we're coming to get you, white boy. Get ready. He runs up the stairwell on the right side. Ken, I'm ready to pee in my pants, man. There's nowhere I can go. Nothing I can do. And just about that time on the third tier, the biggest corn-fed white dude in the place, man. Huge, muscled-up Aryan Brotherhood guy points at me from the third run. He's coming, man. And I'm watching him walk down the stairs. Huge, massive, muscled-up dude, bald head with a swastika all on top of his skull. Ken, all I see is a swastika, two beady eyeballs, and muscles coming at me. And he gets within range of me, man. And there's Mohammed in my head again. I reach up and hit this big Aryan Brotherhood right in the mouth. Boom. I gave him everything I had. My feet left the floor. I gave him everything, Ken. And in 20 seconds, that first fight in prison was over, man. Because he beat the shit out of me. He beat me from one side of the day room to the other. The hit didn't even faze him, Ken. He laughed at it, man. Boom, 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 boom. Before I know it, man, 20 seconds is gone, and in my first fight in prison, I'm 0 for 1. And that's when I gathered my stuff, and I go out to my cell for the first time in prison, 45
Well, then after you get in a fight, the guards don't come immediately and send you both to the shoe?
No, man. This is a life sentence building, brother. Typically what the rule was in prison with the guards, man, the guards be like, hey, look, man, we're here to do our job. We're here to count and stuff like that. Anything else you want to do that's against the rules, wait till we leave the pod, man. Just don't do it in front of our face.
Is the pod unattended?
For sure.
That's not opposite of any prison I've seen, and I've seen a lot of them.
In the Texas prison system, so I lived on G-Pod. G-Pod has 3 sections on it, right? Yep. Each section has 48 men. In those sections, there's a big tower in the middle, like a picket on the inside. There's glass, it's all indoors, right? There's all cages. There's a guard up in that tower up there in that picket, man, and their job is to watch all 3 of these areas. Guard's not watching you, man. That guard doesn't care. And fighting in prison is just a normal reality of prison, man. The only language everybody speaks in prison, in maximum security level 5 prison, is violence. And you get fluent in violence fast. You either learn how to speak violence or someone speaks it to you, but you're going to understand the language of violence. So day one, man.
Who broke the fight up?
Nobody. In prison fighting, when you're done, you can say, hey, I'm done, man. All you got to do is show up and fight. One of the other things Mohammed told me, one of the best lessons of life he ever told me, he said, you don't have to win all your fights, but you do have to fight all your fights. You don't have to win all your fights, but you do have to fight all your fights. And that's what he's telling me. Don't worry about trying to win these fights. He said, you're gonna get your ass kicked over prison. You're gonna lose a lot. He said, but you're gonna win sometimes too. He said, no one cares if you win or lose. They want to see if you're gonna defend yourself. But the minute you stop defending yourself in there, he said, the sharks are coming out like there's blood in the water. You can't do that because then they'll rape you. They'll do all kinds of stuff to you. So all I know is that I have to fight and I don't have to win these fights, which kind of takes a little pressure off. There's still pressure every day that you're going to get into a fight, but man, the pressure's off to actually win this thing. You don't have to win all your fights.
I'm surprised that the guy would stop if you said, I've had enough.
I'm done, man. I'm done. It's over. You won, But I fight back. I try to do what I can. Okay. I mean, he's massive. He's going to beat the hell out of me, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's way bigger than me. But what they're trying to do, and this is what Mohammed told me in Dallas County Jail, he told me race runs everything in prison. Race is king, right? And for everybody listening, there's a difference between jail and prison. Jail is before you get convicted of a crime. Prison is where you go after your conviction. So in Dallas County Jail, Mohammed is lacing me up with what I'm going to face when I get there. But he's telling me race is everything in there. He said, so you've made this promise to your mom that you won't get into one of these white gangs, which is your natural course of order in there. You're going against the status quo then to not do this. So you're going to fight all the white gangs first. If you survive the white gangs, now you're fighting black gangs. And if you survive the black gangs, you will earn the right to walk alone. He said the strongest man in prison always walks alone. Deep stuff, man. But he's telling me, he said, if you can get through the white gangs first, they're the ones that are going to send the black gangs after you. And the black gangs, the Crips, the Bloods, the Gangster Disciples, they're going to jump in on this because they want you to get with your own kind where you belong. Because you can't have this independent white guy running around because racial wars can get started that way. You know, you've got to belong to a family in there because that's how everybody operates. And look, Ken, all the races wanted that way. There wasn't a race that said, well, we don't want to do this race thing. Everybody wanted everybody to stick to their own. One of the things I learned when I was in there is that prison can almost become a microcosm of what society looks like. When you start taking the guardrails off society, you start taking the brakes off of this thing that we got out here, this life we live, you start telling people, hey, you know what? You don't have to associate with anybody that doesn't look like you. You don't do business with anybody that doesn't look like you, or doesn't have the same beliefs as you. Human beings are very tribal people, have been for 8,000 years, man. That's one of the ways human beings have always survived. They've been very tribal. And so I kind of give people a cautionary tale that, if you take the guardrails off society, society can look like a prison. And so that's what prison is, man. The races run everything. The gangs run everything in there.
Focus isn't just about grinding harder. It's about fueling smarter. When I'm working, training, or recording, I need my brain to show up. That's why I use Ketone IQ. It's clean brain fuel. No caffeine, no crash, just steady mental energy that lasts. It gives your brain what it actually wants. Ketones. They cross the blood-brain barrier to power your neurons directly. No jitters, no drop-off. You just stay locked in longer. For me, it's the difference between pushing through and feeling dialed in. Whether I'm deep in work, on a long run, or traveling, Ketone IQ keeps me sharp, calm, and focused. If you want to think clearer and last longer, head to ketone.com/rideout for 30% off your subscription order, plus a free gift with your second shipment. Fuel your mind like you mean it.
First day, man, I get my butt kicked and I lose that fight. I grab my bags. I go up to the third floor to 45 cell, and I meet my first cellmate in prison, a little guy named Carlos, man. Carlos is about 5'4". He's a little Hispanic guy, a little bank robber from San Antonio, Texas.
They would put Hispanics in with whites?
Yeah.
Normally, when I was there, you would never put races together, ever.
In Texas, you have to have a racial restriction. And the only way you can get a racial restriction is to prove you have a problem with another race. You just can't live with a person from another race, And there were people that had racial restrictions. But Carlos doesn't have a racial restriction. I don't have a racial restriction.
Got it.
So I live with Carlos, man, my first cellmate in prison. And look, man, Texas throws everybody together. You have to really fight to get a racial restriction in there. And it happened. I didn't see a lot of guys with them. So there were a lot of people that live with different races, blacks and whites, whites and Hispanics.
Really?
Absolutely, man.
Wouldn't they like if an Aryan or a white supremacist got put in with a black guy, he'd just refuse to go in the cell, right? Or be like, get up here or we're fighting until you break us up.
Yeah. And that's how you get a racial restriction. Yeah. You could do that. I mean, if you set yourself on a course that says, hey, I can't follow this rule, this directive of housing.
Yeah.
You can't follow the rule of housing. But it's not the easiest path. So what happens if you do that, you're going to go to medium custody. And if medium custody is really a hard place to live because you're locked in your cell 23 hours a day with this one dude, right? Yeah. You still have a cellmate medium custody. And if you don't do well in medium custody, you go to closed custody, which is segregation, administrative segregation. And then you're locked in the cell by yourself for 23 hours a day. And it's almost, you can go on this odyssey where you don't ever get to come back to like general population for 5 years. They'd have guys that come out of medium custody and closed custody that we hadn't seen for 5 years. They'd have full beards, man. They go all the way down to their waist. Look, I mean, like they were just gone. They were just marooned to this island. We live with the lifers. The life sentence building was the most dangerous and hopeless place I've ever lived on. But Seg was a whole different animal, man. And that's guarded. It's got fences around it and stuff like that. So, but that's the journey you have to go on if you want the racial restriction.
I got it. All right, so you get in there with Carlos.
So Carlos, man, I walk in, he tells me, hey, you did well, you held your own out there, and I'm trying to put my stuff up, and I finally get everything situated. I'm banged up, man, and he hands me a book. He said, you must read this book. And it's got this little Hispanic accent, man. He said, you must read this book. If you want to survive this place and you want to come out the other side, intact, you got to read this book. The book was Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Now, If you've never read this book, this is definitely a book you need to read. Viktor Frankl survived Auschwitz. He survived concentration camp. And this book starts giving you the blueprint for how you decide you're going to see the world around you, you know? The second book he handed me once I finished Man's Search for Meaning was The Count of Monte Cristo. Best fiction book I've ever read, man. And it's just, I mean, I encourage everybody to read this. Read the abridged version. The unabridged version is too long. But, you know, that book was the ultimate book about revenge, redemption, forgiveness, everything, man. So, but it's about a guy in prison. So both books he gave me, one nonfiction, one fiction, were about prison and life in prison and how you view the world around you. Carlos was one of the most instrumental people I've ever met, man. Now, Mohammed, of course, is one of them. Carlos is one of them. One of the things you're going to see in the story I'm going to tell you today is that the messengers in life can come to you from anywhere in life. And the messengers won't always look like you. They won't come to the same background as you. They won't have the same lived experience as you. But that's why they're the messenger, right? Because they come from a different area and they have a different perspective and they can share that with you. But the trick is in life, Ken, you have to be receptive to all of the messengers to get all the messages in life. So Carlos is the messenger now. I'm in the cell with Carlos. And Carlos is watching me go through this experience, man, the first 2 months of prison. He's telling me, man, you just got to keep getting out there. And so I keep going out there. Takes me 2 weeks to get to the white gangs. After 2 weeks of fighting the white gangs, they tap out.
After the first day, after you go up and you see Carlos, then the next time you come out of your cell, is it immediate? Is it again? Are they on you again?
No, it's later that day. I go to chow. Same day, I go to chow. Man, I don't have to fight that same day. And generally, look, here's the thing in prison. There's a lot of fights. You're going to get banged up in there, but they're trying not to make you look like the elephant man, right? They're not trying not to bang your face up too bad, because once that happens and somebody gets beat up too bad, they can't walk around the prison, man, because there's only so much you can tell a guard about how you slipped in your bunk or you slipped in the shower, right? So, and you're not going to tell on anybody. So, I mean, to have to fight 2 times in one day is just unheard of. So you're not doing that. So my fight for the day is done.
Okay, that fight for that. So you go to chow that day and
Go to chow that day.
Just ignoring you, I assume.
Well, everybody's looking at me, man. I mean, I'm getting all kinds of looks out there. But Carlos is teaching me, man, like in the chow hall, whites sit with other white people in the chow hall.
So he wouldn't sit with you. Carlos wouldn't
Not
sit
in the chow hall. No, in chow hall. No, he's allowed to work with me as my cellmate in there, and the Hispanic guys know that he's trying to like coach me up.
Yep.
He's like a coach, you know, so I'm in there. It's like a prison coach.
Is that why they put you with him? Or is that just coincidental?
It's just a God thing. Total God thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why I got sent with him. I mean, he had an open bunk. So I got sent with Carlos that day, go to chow, come back. That night, he shows me how to make a mouthpiece. And so he's like, you're going to lose your teeth if you don't have a mouthpiece in here. I'm like, where am I going to get a mouthpiece from? And so in prison, to make a mouthpiece, you get a bunch of wet toilet paper, right? Yeah, really wet, and you mold it to your teeth, and you sit it down on a little table. They have a little desk in the cell. And you sit it on the table, and overnight, it becomes really hard, like wood. The mouthpiece is good for one fight. He said, so carry your mouthpiece with you everywhere you go. Stick it in your pocket. If you feel like you're getting a fight, shove your mouthpiece in. Ken, I was doing that every day, man. And every time I got to a fight, shove my mouthpiece in, it comes back, it's just mush, right? Because it's all mushed down, but I could always make a new mouthpiece. And so that's one of the reasons why I had all my teeth when I got out of prison. Night number 1, man, I'm making a mouthpiece. He's teaching me things in there. So one of the days, check this story out. So one of the days we're walking down the cell block, right? And it's one of the early days I'm in there. We're walking down the cell block, and you can look in the guy's cells. You're not supposed to. That's called window shopping, right? You know, now I look at another man's cell, yeah. But I don't know this thing, man. I'm green, man. I'm like, I'd never even dreamed of going to prison. So I'm walking by the cell block with Carlos, and I look in this guy's cell, and this dude is laying on his bunk reading a book, and he's got this little mouse on the pillow next to him. Just, the mouse is just chilling, Ken. Just taking a nap next to this dude. Not leashed up, not chained up, not nothing, man. And I tap Carlos, man, what's up with that? Man, Carlos waves at me, he motions to me, come on, man. We go back to the cell. He slams the cell door shut, and he jumps my ass. He said, listen, man, first of all, don't ever look at another man's cell. That's called window shopping. You get your head taken off in here. You got no good reason to look in that guy's cell. Don't ever look at another man's cell. He said, but second of all, stay away from the men that have the mice. And I'm like, why? I mean, did the mice have lice or something? He said, no, man, it's how these guys get the mice to obey them. They do the same thing with humans too. So he calls it breaking a mouse. Now, in order to have a pet mouse, you have to catch a mouse, right? And there's mice everywhere. I mean, when the lights go out in prison, man, mice and roaches come out at night. Easy to catch a mouse. You set up an empty potato chip bag, put a little peanut butter in the back of the bag. At night, that mouse is going to go in that bag, and you can hear him crink on the bag. And if you want to catch the mouse, you just close the top of the bag, and now you got this little mouse running around this potato chip bag. So the guy that wants to keep the mouse for a pet, He's going to take the mouse out of that bag. Well, first of all, understand the cell. You got a bunk bed, you got a desk, and you got a metal toilet. Everything's metal in prison. It's bolted to the floor. So this guy that has the mouse in the bag, he takes the mouse to 2 steps over to his toilet, and he takes the mouse out of the bag, holds him over the toilet bowl, throws him in the water, and drowns the mouse. Now, the mouse can't get out of this toilet bowl, man. His little claws can't get any purchase on this metal toilet. And right as the mouse is ready to let go and die, because the mouse is going to drown, right as the mouse is ready to let go and die, the inmate reaches in and saves, air quotes, saves the mouse, pulls the mouse out of the water, rubs on it, loves on it, talks to it. I love you. No one will ever protect you like I will. I'm here for you. I'm your savior. I got you. I'm going to always take care of you. I love you so much. And then he'll put the mouse into this little jar, the little peanut butter jar, where he's got food waiting for him, nice night's sleep, has a little water in there, lets the mouse relax. And then the next day he'll grab the mouse out of that jar, throw him in the water and drown him again, and air quote, save the mouse. This goes on for a couple of weeks. It goes on until the mouse stops seeing the guy that throws him in as a tormentor and sees the guy as his savior. And then you don't need a cage for the mouse, because the world becomes the mouse's cage. And that's what he's telling me. Stay away from the guys that have pet mice, because they do the same thing to humans too. Ken, when I tell that story in a room full of an audience with a lot of women in it, you can see it register in a lot of their faces. I mean, a lot of them, they're looking back like, I know a mouse, or I am a mouse, And so that's the manipulative nature of some relationships, the abusive person. So Carlos is showing me around the prison, man. He's encouraged me. And I'm going out there and I'm getting my butt kicked. Every now and then I win. I remember the first time I actually won a fight, man, this drunk.
Prior to going to prison, had you had any boxing training, jiu-jitsu, wrestling? Did you get in fights as a kid?
Yeah, I got in some fights as a kid, man. But, I was a college football player. I got in some fights in college, I was a jock. And I was strong. Like, I could bench. I mean, I was benching 315 in college. So, I was always a strong guy, but I had no training going into this thing, man, and no need.
When you got arrested and sentenced, we'll come back to it. But you didn't have once you got pinched, you never got bailed out. You never were free again from the minute you got arrested.
No,
so you never had time to be like, I'm taking jiu-jitsu. I'm gonna stop boxing. I'm getting ready for this.
July 30th, 2008. That was the day I got arrested. I never walked out again until I got out on parole.
All right, we'll come back to that. But back to like the experience with Carlos. So you got your mouthpiece. You're getting in fights every day. You're learning as you go. Are you learning anything like, okay, next time I'm gonna throw an overhand right, or I'm going to go for a double leg? Or
That's a good question. I'm going to tell you something I learned, man. So I learned that you don't want to get in a fight with a real boxer. So we were in the chow hall one day. This is like week 2 in prison. I'm watching this guy. It's a black dude, man. This one black guy gets another black guy's face. So first of all, you can't just go up and hit somebody that's of a different gang, different race and all that. They got a protocol for that, man, because you can start a racial war that way. So, but this is one black fighting another black guy, right? And so this one guy in the chow hall line that's real calm, but I've been watching him on the rec yard, man. He does a lot of, they have, instead of hand pads for boxing, they put on the shower shoes, man. So you're punching the shower.
Oh, and they would allow them to pads.
They would do, yeah.
Because I know in some prisons you can't shadow box.
They shadow boxing. Man, they would even take a person's mattress, fold it over on half on itself, and put a shirt, a real inmate shirt on top of that, and that's their punching bag, man. And they'd hang it from like the second row, Where do they get rope? Where do they get them? But I mean, man, this is max security level 5, man. All they're looking for is to keep everybody entertained and not have riots, man. So they're going to let you have a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit of dope, a little bit of tobacco's in there too. I mean, not a little bit, it's everywhere. I'm sober at the time when I'm going through all this though. So, but they have pads on, man. They have these little pads. They put socks on their feet with these little flip-flops on them. And, so I had seen this guy in the rec yard a little bit doing a little, tapping with the pads and stuff like that, but I had no idea what this guy was packing, man. So he's in line in the chow hall. This other dude's pushing him and not pushing him yet. This other dude's pushing his buttons. And then the minute he lays his hands on this guy that's the boxer, man, this boxer beats the hell out of this dude. And it was about 3 punches, man. So first thing the boxer did was just jab the dude. And that was, look, I don't want any trouble, man. But he's letting him know, I'm gonna beat your butt if you don't quit messing with me. And after he hit that dude, and the dude was done getting stunned, the dude comes back and starts swinging wild. And that's what most fighting's like, man. Yep. Most fighting is like you burn off all your energy fast, man, because there's no form to it. This boxer is just sitting there, just moving back and forth, moving back and forth. I mean, he's not wasting any energy at all. All he's doing is dodging these crazy wild punches.
And in this joint, there's no one's coming to break it up.
No one's gonna break it up.
Okay.
No, man, this is over when you say it's over. So he's just moving back and forth like that. And as soon as this guy wears himself out after like 20 seconds, reaches in, tap, 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 tap. Dude falls backwards, man. Knocked him out cold. I mean, this guy didn't even break a sweat. He wasn't even breathing hard. That dude's just laying on the ground in the chow hall. He goes and gets his meal and eats, man. I mean, I learned by watching that guy. I'm like, man, that's a skill I need to pick up, right? But this is on-the-job training, brother.
Yeah.
I'm in neck deep in this stuff right now. So it took 2 weeks to get through the white gangs. And it's constant battle with these guys. And and they're telling me, man, West, all you got to do is just say you're with us, man, and this all stops. And I'm like, I can't do that, man. I made a promise to my mom. They're like, well, then let's just keep going, brother. Your mom's not here. So after I show that I'm going to fight them every time, and I'm showing a lot of heart, the white gangs are all right, man. We got you. So they send the black gangs after me. And now, Ken, this is where it really gets heated, man, because the black gangs just got the go-ahead to tee off on a white guy. Talks proper, college educated, came from a great family. All these are the attributes you have in life that you think are your assets. They're liabilities in this place, man. Your assets change to liabilities in that place. And, man, these guys are coming after me. And sometimes it's one at a time. The code in prison is really you're not supposed to jump anybody, but code's out the window. We're trying to get this guy where he's supposed to be. So this goes on, and it's not exactly every day, but it's most days that I'm fighting in prison, man. And I'm going through mouthpieces left and right. I mean, it's on a Friday about 6 weeks in. I got jumped, and I got my ass kicked, man. And it broke me. It broke something inside of me. It was over. I was done. I couldn't do this anymore. So I made a decision that night, man, when I laid in my bunk, I'm going to kill myself. And that was going to be the next day, Saturday. So my decision was this. My plan was this. Saturday morning, I was going to go to Catholic Mass. I'm Catholic. So I'm going to go to Catholic Mass at Saturday morning, go to church one last time, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to hang myself off Carlos's bunk when he goes to go to the rec yard later on. So I go to Mass on Saturday morning. I'm in the chapel, staring straight towards the altar, just kind of half there, half not. I get a tap on my shoulder, and it's this little volunteer chaplain lady, Miss D. Miss D said, come to my office, Mr. West. I need to talk to you about something. So I go to her office. She sits me down. She's like, Mr. West, I can see something's bothering you today. She said, what's wrong? And I'm thinking to myself, Ken, man, there's 200 people in here serving life, man. Something's bothering everybody. This is a max secure level 5 prison. But she picked me out, right? I told her, I said, Miss D, I can't take it anymore. I'm going to kill myself. And she was just really calm. I mean, this is really when the alarm bells are supposed to go off in a prison, man. Somebody says they're going to commit suicide. But she's real calm. She said, Mr. West, you can't kill yourself. You can't give up on God. I said, what do you mean God? How does God create a place so wicked and evil and sinister as this prison? And she was just real calm. She had a smile on her face. She said, Mr. West, you're not the first person to get mad at God. She said, the Bible's full of people that got angry with God, but they all come back to God because they learned what the secret to faith is. And I'm like, Miss D, what's the secret to faith? She told me the secret to faith that day, Ken. She said, if you're going to pray, don't worry. But if you're going to worry, don't pray. She said, you can't do both. You can't do his job and your job. She said, you're either going to let God drive that car today or you're going to drive the car. But the last time you drove the car, you parked it in a prison. So choose who gets the keys. Choose wisely. And she let me go, Ken. I mean, you worked in a prison. Man, protocol is like 72 hours. You're getting a paper suit. You're not even,
It's not nice.
You don't get your shoestrings anymore at that point. She lets me go back to my pod. So I go back there, and obviously I'm not going to kill myself because I'm trying to think of a way out of this, man. I'm still fighting the black gangs, and it comes to me, man. Monday morning, 6 weeks in, I get up that morning, I got a plan. The only thing I haven't used to earn respect inside that prison is my athletic ability. Now, Ken, God bless me to be a tremendous athlete. I was a Division I starting quarterback at 20 years old in America, man. I'm a baller, man. I can play some sports, but the rec yard where you play sports, the most intimidating place I've ever seen because it was the most segregated place I've ever seen. Every sport was segregated by the color of your skin. It was like walking back in time, Ken. Yeah. Let me walk your audience through the rec yard real quick. So this max secure level 5 where the lifers live, the rec yard's attached to the building. So you go out there, there's a sand volleyball court. Sand volleyball, that's for the whites and Hispanics only. No blacks allowed in sand volleyball. Handball, big handball walls, concrete walls. All races can play handball in prison, but if you want to play doubles in a game of handball, your doubles partner has to be the same skin color. You can't mix the races. The weight stack, just like you see in prison movies, man. Everybody wants to push an iron in prison, and all the races can lift weights. But if you want someone to spot you, someone to work out with you, your partner, your spotter, Got to be the same skin color as you. You can't mix the race. The chow hall, same thing, man. You couldn't sit down and eat a meal at a table with people from a different race. And by the way, again, every race wanted it this way. The division of races is what's in prison. That's how it's run. So that Monday morning, 6 weeks in, I go out to the rec yard. I face my fears. And I pass up all those other sports I just told you about, and I went straight to the basketball court. Now, Ken, who do you think runs the basketball court? The blacks, the brothers, man. Yeah. And no white boys are allowed in the basketball court. But do you know why I finally chose to go play sports that Monday morning to earn my respect? Because, Ken, I know that in America, sports is the great uniter. Sports is the one thing that brings all of us Americans together like nothing else can. Not even religion can bring us together like sports, because in America, we can self-segregate religions, and we do. But sports is the melting pot. We all come together to root for our team, right?
That's right.
So here's what I think. This is what's going through my head literally that morning. I'm like, man, before there was Martin Luther King Jr., there was Jackie Robinson, a baseball player, right? Before you integrated lunch counters in the American South, you integrated locker rooms. I thought about my dad. Y'all, Ken, my dad was a sports writer in Texas for 50 years. He's passed away a couple years ago, but he was a sports writer for 50 years, man. And in 1971, he made history in Texas when he broke the color barrier in sports pages. He was the first sports writer in Southeast Texas to put black athletes on the front page of sports pages. 1971, man. And when my dad did it, man, he got so much resistance, man. Kind of like the resistance I'm facing in prison, right? I mean, people were breaking his windows out. They're slitting his tires. They sent hate mail to him. A lot of hate mail. But my dad, growing up, my dad would make me read the hate mail. You know, every nasty negative word that people said about my father and my mother, because my dad put a black guy on the cover of the sports page. But he always told me, he said, Damon, these words matter, man. And I want you to see these letters because I want you to read these letters and see what it looks like to take a stand and do the right thing. Because he said, sometimes, Damon, taking a stand and doing the right thing means you're going to stand alone. But he said, it's always okay to stand alone as long as you are standing on the right side of history. So I had a tremendous influence from my father before I go to the rec yard that day. But these are all the things I'm thinking about. I know sports can transcend race, and I need help, man, because I can't survive on this island on my own. So I go out there that day. I'm at the basketball court. Now, again, the blacks run the basketball court. There's no white boys allowed in this basketball court. But there's a flaw in their system. I've been watching them play basketball for a couple of weeks now. After every game they play, they're going to shoot for teams. Shoot for teams means the first two guys to make a free throw get to be the team captains. That's how they keep a lot of people rotating on these basketball courts, right? My plan is this. I'm watching this basketball game play out that Monday morning. It's a lopsided game. I know what side of the court the game's going to end on, right? Because this team is really winning. So I start maneuvering myself to get over to that side of the court right by the basket. And I mean, people are watching me, man. The white dudes are like, what is this white boy doing, man? He's crazy. Even some of the blacks are getting off the sidelines looking at, well, what does this white boy do? My feet aren't supposed to be in this court. As soon as that basketball goes to that last basket for that last shot, I went and fell on that basketball like a fumble drill in football. I got locked up, man. And the entire basketball court sucked up around me. I mean, they were ready to go too, man. They were like, what is he doing? And as soon as I grabbed their basketball, they all circle around me. And they're screaming at me, man. I mean, it's violent, man. Give us our ball back, white boy. And I'm like, man, the toughest voice I could find. I was like, man, you not get this ball till I shoot. I'm shooting for teams today, man. I'm going to be a team captain. They're like, what? Dude, we're going to kill you, white boy. You can't do this. I said, man, I'm shooting today. I'm shooting. Biggest dude out there, man. This blood from Houston named J Blood, man. J Blood's a monster, dude. J Blood gets up in my face, and he's looking down on me, man. I got this ball wrapped up. I'm not letting it go, though, Ken. He says, you know what, white boy? Get up on the line, shoot your free throw. He said, boy, I hope you make this basket. And just about that time, man, the whole basketball court parted. That free throw line appeared. And I go up to this free throw line, and I mean, that goal looks like it's 100 yards away at this point, man. It's like here's what's up. Here's the score. If I miss this shot, they're going to kill me. I'm dead, man. And I know I'm dead because I'm on an island here, man. The white dudes are screaming, man, kill him, yeah, get him, you know. And, man, if I miss it, they're going to kill me. And if I make it, they're going to let me play some basketball, but they're going to hurt me, man, because I don't belong in their basketball court. But my back's against the wall, Ken. What am I going to do, man? I got to do something different. So I get up on the line. I steel my nerves. And I remember this sentence that this college football coach I had back in the late 90s, he had this little sentence he would say. It was only 20 letters in this sentence, 10 words, 20 letters. But it was like the most powerful sentence I've ever heard in the English language. He said, if it is to be, it is up to me. And I remember that like powerful like phrase because no one's going to do this for you. You got to do it for yourself. So I get up on the line, breathe in, breathe out, say a little quick prayer, and I let the basketball go, and it's nothing but net. I made my shot. I'm a team captain. So Jay Blood makes his shot. We pick our teams, man. I pick my 4 guys. He picks his 4 guys. Got this little 5-on-5 going, right? Wrong, Ken. It's 9-on-1, man. My own teammates don't want me out there. And this is basketball in the life sentence building of a maximum security prison, man. There's no referee. There's no foul. Man, you can kick, punch, scratch, bite, and it's all going on, man.
That's where the term prison rules comes from.
Yeah, prison rules, man. I came out that first day, man. I got a black eye and a busted lip, but I survived. And I showed up the next day, and I come out to the basketball court. I look like I've been hit by a truck, and they're all laughing at me. Hey, white boy, we thought you had enough yesterday, man. I said, hey, I thought you boys were playing basketball. What's up? I'm in. Man, Jay Blood's like, get on my team, white boy. I don't have to shoot anymore. They pick me first every game. And I'm not first pick material, man. I'm like 8th or 9th pick. We're playing basketball, to be honest with you, man. But they want to make sure I'm on that basketball court. If I was looking to play some basketball, they gave me everything I was looking for. And this is the most brutal basketball in the world, man. I'm going out there, and I'm on an island, man. And I just keep telling myself, all you got to do is survive, damn it. You don't have to win. You know. And they're not even letting me shoot, man. All I do is play defense. No one's passing me the ball. I mean, dude, I don't touch the ball until Saturday. So on the court Saturday playing basketball, 6 days into this drill, man. And I'm at this point where I'm at the point of no return, man. I mean, like, and believe me, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I don't want to get out of my cell and go play basketball, man. I got to go. I can't not show up at this point. So Saturday, we're playing basketball, man. And someone passes me the ball to shoot. And I shoot it, and I missed. I'm like, damn, I hit a brick on the first shot I ever got, man. But they passed me the ball again, and I made my shot. And I heard somebody say, good shot, West. I got my name back, Ken. That was the first time I got my name back in prison. I heard West. I didn't hear white boy. It's very derogatory to call someone by the color of their skin. I mean, it's a very derogatory thing to do, but it stopped. And after that game was over, those dudes circled up around me in the basketball court, and Jay Blood does all the talking. He said, hey, Wes, man, you're good, man. You don't have to do this anymore. He said, you took everything we had. You gave it back when you could. You never got racial with us either, man. He said, that means a lot to us. But you took everything we had. You gave it back when you could. That took a lot of guts. He said, so look, man, you're free to go live your life, man. Go live your life. Go on. And, man, I remember I felt so good that moment, man. I felt like I finally belonged to something, man. I felt like I got to the other side of this violence. I mean, and it's hard to think when you're under this level of stress of violence, man. And you've been around violent sports, right? You've seen this, man. It's hard to think when you're in that mode. And once I took a step back after that basketball, after that basketball week, that journey right there, I had a lot of anger, man, a lot of frustration, and I didn't know how to deal with this stuff. And I was like, okay, man, I'm glad it's finally over, and I can start working on myself. So I started trying to become a coffee bean, but it wasn't over, Ken, because Jay Blood made a promise he can't keep. And I did something I've been doing my entire damn life, which is taking shortcuts. I wanted to take a shortcut to earn respect in prison. I wanted to go out there and play sports to do the shortcut instead of just fighting every day like you're supposed to do.
All right, guys, it's been about 6 months since I started taking liposomal NAD Plus from Raw Nutrition, and I've got to say, I'm absolutely loving this stuff. The biggest thing I've noticed, my energy levels stay consistent all day. No highs, no crashes. I'm not reaching for 3 cups of coffee just to get through the afternoon. I'm sleeping better, recovering better, and honestly, I just feel sharper. NAD Plus fuels your cells. It drives mitochondrial function, recovery, and cognitive performance. The science is solid, but for me, it's simple. I feel better, I train better, I show up better. What I like about Ro is that they don't cut corners. Every batch is third-party tested, so what they say is in it is actually in it. And their liposomal delivery system helps your body actually absorb the stuff. Pro athletes, trainers, and health experts are making Ro's NAD Plus a staple of their routine because it works. NAD Plus from Ro Nutrition. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Give it a shot. Right now, you can try it risk-free for 60-day money-back guarantee. Plus, get 20% off with code RIDEOUT at checkout. Again, that's 20% off at ronutrition.com/rideout.
So Jay Blood made a promise so he couldn't keep, because a black guy can't keep any other black guy from jumping on a white guy in prison. That would be a death wish for that black guy to step in the way of that. So about 2 weeks after this basketball game, I'm coming off the record. And Ken, these guys, they bang on my cell every day, man. Come play some basketball, Wes. Let's go shoot some hoops. I finally belong, man. I'm going out and playing basketball with these guys, man. I'm the only white guy out there.
But I can't imagine all the black guys that are not playing basketball are happy about this.
You're about to find out about that one. So 2 weeks after the basketball game, I'm coming off the rec yard. Carlos is waiting for me in the cell, on the cell block, man. He's in the day room. He's agitated. He runs up to me, And I'm like, I get like a defensive posture, man. He's coming at me hard. I'm like, what's up, man? He said, come with me right now. So we go under the stairwell and talk. So under the stairwell in the day room, there's no cameras there. People can't really see you. They can't really hear you. It's just like a side blind spot, right?
Such a crazy place.
A lot of fighting goes on in the stairwell.
That's the only thing I can think. If there's a place where you can't see someone, that's a place you don't want to be.
Yeah. So he brings me over there. He said, hey, listen, when you go to the shower today, Blackjack's going to be waiting for you in the shower to rape you. Now, Blackjack is the biggest rapist in prison, Ken. This guy is 6'4", 260, big black guy, loves to rape white guys. That's how he got the name Blackjack, right? Loves to rape white guys, does it with a knife, and he's HIV positive. And he said, man, he's coming for you today. He's going to be in the shower waiting for you. He said, I told you about playing basketball with those blacks, didn't I? I told you don't belong in that basketball court, but you didn't listen to me. And now you got the attention of Blackjack because he's been watching you play basketball every day. That's what he told his friends. And I'm like, I was like, well, all right, man, I guess I'm not going to the shower today then. He said, you got to go to the shower today. He said, because if Blackjack doesn't rape you, he's going to rape someone else. And now you got two problems to deal with. He said, you're on the track and the train is coming, Wes. What are you prepared to do? And I'm like, man, he's got a knife. Carlos, I don't have a knife. Man, Carlos pulls a knife out of his pants. I mean, it's about this. I'm holding like a foot. My finger's like a foot apart. I don't know what this little guy's hiding this thing, man. And a knife in prison, you've seen them. There's just a piece of steel that's been sharpened to a razor's edge, got some duct tape around the handle. He hands me his blade. I hold it for a second. I look at it, and the weight of it is really hitting me. I hand it back to him. I said, listen, man, I never fought with a knife before. He's been fighting with a knife for 20 years. He'll slice me up with a knife. I said, there's got to be some other weapon, man, some other way. He said, there's one other weapon. He said, go to the cell. I'll meet you there in a second. So, man, I go up to our 45 cell up on the third tier, and I'm waiting for him to come in, and he finally comes in about 5 minutes later. Now, in Texas prison, there's no air conditioning. And it's
so crazy.
There's 100 prisons in Texas, brother. We don't have AC in Texas prison. It's another layer of punishment, brother. And it's hot in Texas. And I'm in Beaumont, Texas. Beaumont, Texas, for everybody listening there. That's on the Gulf Coast, man. That's right where Louisiana and Texas touch on the Gulf Coast. It's hot. It's humid. But this is March of 2010. I'm not worried about the heat. And what we have in prison is we have these little bitty personal fans. They're supposed to keep you cool. But in the summertime, man, all they do is move a little hot air a few inches, right? So Carlos has some tools in his hands. He takes my fan apart, and he cuts the fan motor out of the center. The fan motor is about 5 pounds of just metal and wire. He drops that fan motor into my shower bag, which is a little mesh bag, and he starts swinging it around the cell. He said, this is your weapon today. It's a ball and chain flail, Ken. It's a medieval weapon, right? He said, do exactly what I tell you. So he said, go to the shower. And so you walk in the shower, and there's it's a one-man shower. They got a little change area off to the side, and they got the shower in the back, you know? He said, go in the shower, get in there and turn it on really hot, get it steamy in there, and then wait in the little change area on the side. He said, I want you to wait there until Blackjack comes through the door. And when he comes through the shower door, hit him in the head with his fan motor. He said, now listen, your first hit's not going to kill him. He said, but it's going to stun him. And once you stun him, get on him and don't stop swinging until you see his brains come out of his skull. He said, you got to kill this guy today. He's an animal. You got to put him down. And what I would find out later is that everyone wanted Blackjack dead. And Carlos and his buddies are like, hey, man, I can get this white boy to kill him today, man. He's going to get the jump on him, and we'll have him kill him. That's what he's telling me. Don't stop swinging until you see the brains come out of his skull. He said, here's what's going to happen. He said, you're never leaving prison alive. Do you understand this, West? He said, what's going to happen is this. You're either going to kill this guy today, and they're going to give you another life sentence. They could give you the death penalty if they prove you're laying in wait, right? But you're going to kill this guy, and they're going to give you another life sentence that they'll never let you out of. Or he's going to do something to you that you're going to wish you were dead, or he may kill you in the process of doing it. He said, but you're never leaving prison alive. Do you understand that? So, yeah. And now I realize I'm in the 98% of lifers. I'm never going to leave prison alive. But what are my choices, Ken? I grab the fan motor. I go, and it's probably 20 feet from my cell to the shower, man. I'm over on the third tier. That 20 feet feels like 20 miles, man. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, how in the hell did we get here, Damon? And I'm like, man, I grew up and I had this great family. You know, I came from a 2-parent home. My mom and my dad were married for 55 years. I was a good student growing up, great athlete, you know, college football star and all this other stuff. I mean, had the best jobs in life, but substance abuse, man. And we'll get into that in a little bit, man. I made some poor choices in life around my disease of addiction. And, you know, I broke into people's homes. I didn't just steal their property. I stole their sense of security. And the only place to pay that debt off is in a prison. And that's where I was, man, walking that 20 feet to the shower in that prison, considering my life choices. But I had to push those thoughts out. I got in the shower. I did everything Carlos told me. I got it really hot. I waited in the change area. And Ken, I don't know if I'm in there for a minute and a half or 5 minutes, man. My heart is thumping. And I'm over in the third tier. I'm thinking the guys in the day room can hear my heart. Bing, boom, boom. And here he comes, man. He pops his head through those little saloon type doors. He pops his head through. And I remember he had this grin on his face, like a dude at 2 in the morning is about to get laid, right? And I mean, that was it, man. I crossed over into a different zone. I swung back. I hit this ass, screamed. I hit him. Boom! I hit this dude as hard as I could, and he raises up at the last second. I hit him in the chest. Loud, sickening thud. Shoots out of the shower, drops his knife on the ground, and I'm on him, Ken. And remember, I've crossed over in this line. I'm going to kill this guy. And it's a weird place to be, man, when you're about to take another human being's life. And I'm swinging this thing like a maniac, man. And I can't get to his head. He's got his head covered up. So I'm banging ribs, and I hear ribs cracking under this. This is a 5-pound fan motor, man. Well, as soon as he got shot out of the shower, 2 of his gang brothers downstairs, he was a Mandingo warrior. 2 of his gang brothers saw this, man, that I got to jump on this dude because they're all watching him go up the stairs. They know he's about to rape me, man. They can't stop it, though. But 2 of his gang brothers fly up the stairs, and they get up there, and I'm trying to fucking take this guy's head off, man. And these guys are like, hey, Wes, don't lay another hand on him. And these 2 guys I play basketball with every day, right? They're like, Wes, don't lay another hand on him. The only rule really in prison fighting, Ken, is that when someone's on the ground, you cannot hit a man on the ground. It's kind of like hockey. You got to take your gloves off to fight, right?
Yeah.
So, and I snap out of it. I look at him. I'm like, hey, man, look, man, this dude was trying to rape me. And they're like, he's a rapist. That's what he does, man. But he's our brother. You can't just kill our brother, man. We're going to let you make it, Wes. Beat your feet and get out of here. Go, man. Go. I grab my bag. I go in the cell. I throw the bag on the ground, and I ball up in the side of my cell, start crying like a baby can. And I mean, the adrenaline is burning off, and I pass out. Now, I woke up, and I was starving when I woke up. You know the adrenaline, man. You're hungry. I woke up, and I could hear that they're rolling the doors for chow. And I'm like, cool, I'll make it the last chow because I'd just come off the rec yard earlier, right? Wrong, man. That was morning chow they were rolling the doors for. I'd been gone. I'd been out for like 12 hours, man, passed out on the floor of my cell. And I'm like, oh my God, man, this really happened. I look over and I see the bag. It's got blood all over it. I started looking for a cut on me, man. Remember, it's HIV positive. It's his blood, not mine. And man, I'm like, I got to walk out of this cell. I don't have a mouthpiece. I don't have anything on me, but I know I got to walk out this cell. I don't know if someone's going to stab me. I don't know what's going to happen. And Ken, when I walked out of that cell, the entire prison changed forever for me. Because everybody saw that I spoke the only language you got to speak in prison. That's violence, man. Either someone speaks violence to you or you speak violence to them. I never fought again the rest of the time in prison. I never had to fight again the rest of the time I was in prison. And that was the end of it, man. That was when it was finally over. And that's when I started working on myself and becoming the person I am today. But 2 months of a baptism by fire that most people wouldn't make it through. I promised to my mom, the message of the coffee bean. I knew I could do it, but I still had a little ways to go. And Carlos was instrumental in that, man. Carlos, a few weeks after that, and we'll get off of Carlos in a second, but he was such a great teacher for me. I'm in the cell, and I was stressed, and Carlos was, what's wrong, man? And I said, man, I don't know if I'm going to make it in this place. I don't know if I can become a coffee bean. He said, what's a coffee bean? So for the first time in my life, Ken, I told another human being the story of the coffee bean. So back in Dallas County Jail, right after I got sentenced to life in prison.
By the way, how long did you spend in Dallas County Jail?
I spent 13 months in Dallas County Jail.
And for people that don't know, jail is when you can be bailed out of jail if you have bail. What was your bail?
My bail was $1.4 million.
And for people listening, in this country, you're innocent until you're proven guilty. So when you hear someone's being held without bail, it always gets my attention because I'm like, I don't care what they did.
Yeah.
If you're innocent until we prove you guilty, why are you holding this person against their will? And I know people are going to be like, sometimes you get people on camera killing someone and you're like, he's pretty guilty. We don't want him to go. Like Diddy doesn't have bail. But it's a big deal to not have bail, or it's a big deal to not have a $1.4 million. It's a big deal to have a $1.4 million bail because theoretically you're an innocent man.
Yeah. And my bond is super high. When I first got arrested, so July 30th, 2008, I'm sitting around this little rundown apartment in Dallas. And that day was just like any other, man. It was a sunny day, July 30, 2008. But this is right at the end of everything, man.
And we'll get into all the how you got to that.
Yeah, it's on the head of an organized crime ring. There's about a dozen other meth addicts and myself, young and old, male and female, black and white, and everything in between, because drugs and addiction do not discriminate. Addiction doesn't care who you are, where you come from, right? It's got you. It's got you. But we indiscriminately, without reservation, we broke into the homes of dozens and dozens of people in the Uptown neighborhood of Dallas and beyond to feed our insatiable meth habits. But on July 30th, 2008, it was a different day, man. I was on the run, in a sense, because 10 days before this, my partner in crime, a guy named Dustin, had been picked up by the Dallas Police Department. And Dustin is my right-hand man. Dustin knew everything about our criminal enterprise. Dustin knew everything, man. And Dustin's in the custody of the Dallas Police Department means I know it's only a matter of time before I'm going to be in the custody of the Dallas Police Department. Because here's the truth I learned about crime. Everybody talks. Ken, everybody talks, man.
I know.
So I'm sitting there on the couch that day, July 30th, 2008. I got my dope dealer next to me. His name is Tex. Man, I'm telling Tex, we're passing this pipe back and forth. Tex, you don't want to be here, man. The cops are closing in on me. The end is near. And just as I pass that pipe back to Tex, the window on my right blows out and shatters. And then tumbling across my living room floor was a little canister going end over end, and it's smoking on one side.
And you can see it in slow motion.
Oh, man, it's like, and I've seen that movie before, man. I know what this thing's about to do, man. And I tried to get out of the living room as fast as I could, but it's too late. Boom. The flashbang grenade blows up in my face. Bright white light, loud noise, blows me back on the couch. And when I came to, when I can see and hear again, there's a cop standing over me in full SWAT riot gear. His boot is on my chest. The barrel of an assault rifle is digging in my eye socket. His fingers on the trigger. And he is screaming at the top of his lungs, "Don't move, don't move." And I'm like, man, don't worry, right? You got me, it's done. And as the cops start flooding in, one of them screams out loud, "We got him. We got the Uptown Burglar." And that was my name. I was the Uptown Burglar. It was a very high-profile burglary ring that was running around the Uptown neighborhood of Dallas and beyond. And Uptown's a really nice part of Dallas. But that day on July 30, 2008, the Uptown burglary crime spree came to an end. And because they had their man. They got the mastermind of it all, zip-tied on the floor of a dirty old apartment. And that day, they took me to Dallas County Jail, and my bond was set at $1.4 million. Now, for context of a bond this size, there's 9,000 people in Dallas County Jail right now. Ken, this is one of the biggest jails in America. 9,000. It's like a city inside there. Think about a place where 9,000 people live on top of each other. No one else at the time, not murderers, not child molesters, not rapists, had a bond that high. And
That's why I wanted to point it out, because it's like you obviously pissed someone off.
Oh, yeah. My crimes aren't like those crimes. Ken, my crimes are property crimes. Like the burglaries we were doing, it was the nicest part of Dallas. And these burglaries go on for years, Ken. Because I'm playing a game of cat and mouse with the Dallas police, and we'll get into the whole cat and mouse game I played with them and how it finally went upside down. But that's a different chapter that we're going to talk about in a little bit. But they were very angry with me.
And I'm sure the victims were very angry with you at the time.
Well, absolutely. Because, I mean, here's the deal. I can't say this enough. When I broke into people's houses, Ken, I didn't just steal their property. I stole my victim's sense of security.
Yep.
And I can't replace that, brother. I can't fix it. I can't change it. I can't even apologize to my victims. The state of Texas has a law. It's a felony to apologize to the victim of a crime in Texas. They will send you back to prison in Texas if you reach out to apologize. So I'll never be able to apologize for the things I did to my victims.
What if a victim reaches out to you?
It happens. So here's the thing: when a victim reaches out to you, you can't respond back. You got to notify your parole officer when they do. It's happened before. Remind me. Come back to this.
Yeah, we'll come back.
We'll talk about one of the victims that reached out to me, but we're a long way away from that, though. So the bond is the highest bond in Dallas. I mean, I'm talking about it, murderers, child molesters, rapists don't have bonds this time.
Right.
Like, again, my crimes are property crimes. Again, no one was ever home during the burglaries. Never saw my victims. They never saw me. No weapons were used. What do you mean use weapons?
Mm-hmm.
No one was physically hurt. But Dallas County's angry with me, and my bond is set at $1.4 million, which is a no bond. My trial takes place 10 months after my arrest. And Ken, if they can get you in a courtroom in 10 months, that's called a rocket docket, brother.
Yep.
That means they want you in a courtroom, and it means you're in some grave danger. I go to this trial, and then I'm in the courtroom for Judge Mike Snipes, and this is going to be an interesting story later on.
Before you get into that, go back to when you met Mohammed in the jail.
Yeah, this is I'm gonna work my way into Mohammed, but I go to Mike Snipes' courtroom. We obviously have a relationship. We knew each other before, but the trial goes bad for me. And in 6 days of trial, the jury sentenced me to 65 years in prison, a life sentence in prison. Because in Texas, over 60 years is the life sentence. And so right after the trial was over, my mom has a conversation with me where she tells me no gangs, no tattoos. She said, come back as the man we raised or don't come back at all. And I don't know how I'm going to keep this promise to my mom, Ken. I go back to my pod in Dallas County Jail. I've got 2 months before the prison bus comes to get me. And I'm frantically asking every guy that's been in prison before, how am I going to survive? What am I going to do?
So you have 2 months back in the jail before you go to the prison.
The prison bus comes to get me, yeah.
I mean, you're going to get time credit for time served
in
jail, but
my prison sentence started on July 30th, 2008.
Yeah.
That's a good question because
I'm
people.
surprised they didn't take you right from court into the state institution.
At the time there was 150,000 inmates in the Texas prison system, or like 104 prisons. So it's a matter of space, right? So they got to have some people released before they can send people in. I mean, it's one of the biggest prison systems in America.
And jail is a very dangerous place relative to prison because you have someone who killed 6 people next to someone who's drunk driving for the 5th time, can't afford bail.
And jail was the hardest time I ever did in prison was doing time in jail. And I'm going to tell you why jail time is harder than prison time. Because in prison, you have a life, you have a routine, you have a couple of buddies you hang out with, you got a job in prison, you've got purpose in prison, you're working your life, you've got a routine you can get into in prison. And in jail, you don't have that, man.
There's no programs.
No programs. You're just sitting around. It's dangerous. You're waiting. It's a very transient place. You got people coming in, people leaving. You're mixed in with everybody. There's still that racial tension that goes on in there, but it's jail, man. Most people, for the most part, are like, hey, man, I'm just going to follow the rules inside this jail because I don't want to make my situation worse.
Yeah.
What if you're in the bunk next to the guy that his situation is the worst? Yeah. What if he is the capital murder guy next to you, So I got 2 months before the prison bus comes to get me, and I'm frantically asking everybody's been in prison, man, how am I going to survive? What am I going to do? And Ken, every guy I'm talking to, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, they all say the same exact thing. You got to get into a gang. They said, you can't survive without a gang. They said the gang is your family now. But that one guy that was so different, this old black guy named Mohammed. Now, Mohammed's what you call a career criminal. He's been in and out of prison his entire life. But he was the most positive guy I've ever met in my life, right? I mean, he's got a smile on his face everywhere he goes. I mean, you can't knock the smile off Muhammad's face. And every morning, Muhammad comes to my cell, to my bunk, and he picks me up like a ray of sunshine in that dark place with his positive energy. So one morning, Ken, Muhammad comes up to my bunk. He's got a cup of coffee in his hands. He had a smile on his face. He said, West, I've been watching you, man. I've been watching how you're dealing with these knuckleheads and these dummies talking about you got to get into a gang. He said, man, don't listen to these fools. He said, you want to keep the promise you made to your mom and your dad? It's like, yeah. He said, then let me tell you what prison's really going to be like. And that's what he told me about prison was all about race. And he said, because it's all about race, you're going to fight the white gangs first. If you survive the white gangs, now you're fighting the black gangs. And if you survive all that, you'll earn the right to walk alone. And he told me the truth about fighting that day. You don't have to win all your fights, but you got to fight all your fights. And he saw when he's explaining this to me that he's losing me. The fear is taking over. I'm looking back at this guy like a deer in headlights, all this violence and terror I'm about to walk into. That's when he's like, Wes, he said, let me break this down for you a different way. He said, I want you to imagine prison as a pot of boiling water. He said, now anything we put into a pot of boiling water will be changed by the heat and the pressure inside that pot. He said, I'm going to put 3 things in this pot of boiling water and watch how they change. A carrot, an egg, and a coffee bean. So Ken, here's where I first heard the story of the coffee bean, man. It's the summer of 2009 in a jail cell in Dallas County Jail. 10 years before John Gordon and I wrote this best-selling book in 2019 called The Coffee Bean. So he said, first things first, West, if I put a carrot in that pot of boiling water, he said, what happened to the carrot? I'm like, the carrot's going to turn soft. He said, that's right. He said, but the carrot goes in the water hard and firm, but the water of the prison turns a hard carrot soft and mushy and weak. He said, you don't want to be a carrot. He said, what about the egg? What happened to the egg on the pot of boiling water? I'm like, the egg is going to turn hard, like a hard-boiled egg. He said, that's right, Wes. He said, the egg has a shell that can protect it physically on the outside. But inside that shell, that soft liquid core, that yolk, that heart becomes hardened. He said, now, if your heart becomes hardened, you become incapable of giving or receiving love. He said, if you're incapable of giving or receiving love, you've become institutionalized and you do not come back as someone your parents recognize because your eggshell has swastikas all over it. Then he asked me, he said, what about the coffee bean? He said, what happened to the coffee bean in the pot of boiling water? And I didn't have an answer for Muhammad on that one, man. I was like, I don't know. And that is when Muhammad, a man who looked nothing like me, a man who doesn't come from the same America I came from, Ken, a man who doesn't believe the same things I believe in life. This is a black Muslim man from the streets of Dallas, Texas. I'm this white, middle-class Catholic guy from a little town called Port Arthur. But this man who is so different than me, he's about to share with me one of the most important and transformational messages I've ever heard in my entire life. And again, the moral to that is this. If you ever shut yourself off to people because of their differences, different race, gender, ethnicity, religion, opinions, political views, if you close yourself off to people because of their differences, you could miss some of the most important messages, some of the best friendships in this life. Because Mohammed told me that day. He said, if I put a coffee bean in that same pot of boiling water we call prison, he said, now you're going to change the name of the water to coffee. Because he said the coffee bean, West, the smallest of the three things. He got excited too. He said, small like you, has the power to change the entire atmosphere inside that pot because the power is inside the coffee bean. He said, just like the power is inside of you. And he told me, he said, everything else in life is changed by the water in life. Carrots are changed by the water. Eggs are changed by the water, but not a coffee bean. He said the coffee bean's the only thing that changed the water because it's the change agent. He said, if you want to come back as some of your parents recognize, you're going to be like that coffee bean too. And in fact, the last words he ever said to me in Dallas County Jail in 2009, the prison bus is getting ready to come pick me up to serve my life sentence. He has 4 words for me on the way out the door. He said, be a coffee bean. And that's what I was telling Carlos that night, man, the story of the coffee bean. And man, Carlos got it immediately, man. And he gets up, he's like, oh my God. He said, man, West, I love the story of the coffee bean. He said, but you're no coffee bean, West. He said, you're never gonna be a coffee bean. And man, I was pissed. I got in Carlos's face. I'm ready to fight Carlos over this. I'm like, what do you mean I can't be? Who are you, the coffee bean man? Why can't I be your coffee bean? And he starts laughing at me. He said, because the way you think. He said, your thoughts control everything you do. And that's the whole point of like the Viktor Frankl book, right? He said, right now, your thoughts are all off. He said, you think prison is a punishment when you should be thinking prison is your opportunity. And man, that took me back, Ken. No one had ever once told me prison could be an opportunity. He got in my face. He said, this is your opportunity, man. You can work on yourself 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You could become the best version of Damon West when you walk out of this place one day. And you will walk out one day. And man, it lights out that night when the guard gets done counting our cell. He peeked his head down from the top bunk and he whispered to me. He said, psst, West, what are you prepared to do tomorrow with your opportunity? This little dude refused to call prison a punishment. And God put him in a cell with me. Again, proof. The messengers in life can come to you from anywhere in life, and they don't always look like you. They don't have the same background as you, but that's why they are the messenger, and we have to be receptive to all the messengers to get all the messages. And in prison, I learned to be receptive to all the messengers. In county jail, I learned to be receptive because all of a sudden, I was in a situation where my best thinking got me where I was, and if I was going to think my way out of this, I had to have a new way of thinking. And that's when I started working on myself the next day. The first period when I'm in prison, I was on meth for 4 years, Ken. And it was almost like there was like a cloud hanging over my brain for 4 years, man. And I couldn't shake it.
For people that don't know, I've never experienced or experimented with meth. Like, is it something that you do? Like, I had my own addiction, but it was 24/7. I would take opioid painkillers 24/7. When I was like, I'd go through periods of sobriety, but for 10 years, I took 30, 40 Percocets every single day. Lunch, dinner, breakfast, first.
Did you ever feel like you were in a cloud? Like you're hazy thinking? Yeah.
Always. And the whole time I was high, I was ideating on suicide because I was like, I would rather be dead than doing this. But I couldn't handle the physical withdrawals, and I just put it off for 10 years just to give you an idea how bad the withdrawal symptoms were when I would. But I did it a few times, but it was just imagine the worst illness you've ever had. But was meth like that where if you stopped for a week, you could do it? Or was it like you had to be
Well, no,
every day?
you had to do it immediately. You had to do it every day. I was doing it every single day for 4 years. I mean, like,
And what about sleep?
man, so here's the deal, man. When I'm in this meth world, I'm around all these other people that are, and I smoke meth. And I'm around people that are shooting it up and stuff like that. And I'm watching all these people who's physically just falling apart, man. Their teeth are falling out of their head. Their skin looks like hell. And man, I got on the internet, man. This is before Google. I'm like doing Ask Jeeves, man. Why do people's teeth fall out of their mouth, right? And because I'm vain, man. I'm a very vain dude. I don't want to look like that. And I mean, the stuff that I was learning while I was, because you look, man, you have a preservation of life instinct that's pretty strong. And thankfully mine was kicking in even for vanity purposes when I was doing meth. And the stuff I'm getting back is like nutrients. A lack of nutrients can make your teeth rot out, you know. A lack of saliva actually has because when you're up for days smoking meth and doing dope, you're not drinking any water, man. You're dehydrated as hell.
Yeah.
Well, when your body quits producing saliva, because your body's going to draw water from everywhere, even from your waist, your body will draw water from. When your mouth quits producing saliva, bacteria can root in on your teeth. And so that's why these people's teeth are falling out. So I was like, all right. I'm not going to stop doing meth because I love the meth, but I'm going to start drinking a lot more. I had a gallon jug of water I took with me to burglaries, man. People from back in the burglary game, they could tell that was the guy that had a gallon jug of water everywhere he went, man. I'm breaking into cars with a gallon jug of water with me. Every day I try to stop at Luby's. Luby's is like this little cafeteria restaurant, right? I'd stop at Luby's and get some vegetables and a protein every day, man, just so I could say, like, but I'm trying to maintain my physical health while I'm on this dope because the dope is so powerful. It's like right before the SWAT team gets me. I've got a heads up, man. They're coming. The heat is on, man. You ever seen the movie Heat?
Yeah.
That's what it's about. You know the heat's there, but I can't leave the dope, bro. I don't have a dope deal in another town. I mean, every instinct, all the sirens and bells and whistles are going off in my head. Run, Damon, run. But I can't run because my dope dealer's here.
Yeah.
So I stayed there, man, and I got caught.
Longevity is a word that gets thrown around a lot, but for me, it's simple. I just want to wake up every day feeling sharp, strong, and ready to get to work. That's why I've been using V14. It's a complete daily longevity formula. Very simple. 1 scoop, 14 proven ingredients, including creatine, collagen, NAD boosters, adaptogens, antioxidants, and much more. All designed to help you perform better, recover faster, and stay absolutely dialed. I take it every single morning. It mixes clean, tastes great, and I notice an immediate difference. Steady energy, clearer focus, better recovery after training or travel. It's my routine, no questions, every day. If you care about showing up your best, not just for a race, but for life, go to v14.com/rideout and use the code RIDEOUT for 30% off. That's v14.com/rideout. Longevity isn't something you talk about, it's something you live. Now, let's get to work with V14.
So the detox in county jail was tough. I mean, I wanted to eat everything in sight. I put on 60 pounds of fat in Dallas County Jail.
Jeez.
Yeah, man. I was just a blubber tard, man, because, I mean, I'm sleeping, I'm depressed, I've got this trial coming up, I'm coming off this dope.
And for someone who's athletic, that's making it even worse. Because now that vanity's kicking in where you're like, I'm a mess.
Oh, yeah, and when I get to prison, and the first 2 months of prison, I'm fighting for my life, and I'm way overweight, too. And I'm not in the best fighting shape either, but I got to fight. And that's the thing, my body's not used to holding that kind of weight. You've seen me, man. I'm like, I'm not as fit as you, because you can run like hell, man, but I mean, in that prison, man, I'm overweight. This is the time when I had this conversation with Carlos, man. And he's telling me, man, you got to work on yourself 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, become the best version of you in here. And so I started working on myself inside that prison. And the hazy thing that was going on in my head is that even though I'd been off meth since July 30th, 2008, that's the last time I ever did any chemical. In fact, that's my sobriety day. I get taken in sobriety at gunpoint. That's what I tell people. I go to AA meetings, and look, for anybody out there that's in AA, I don't speak for AA. I'm not a spokesperson, but that's the 12-step program recovery that I go to. But I tell people all the time, I got taken in sobriety at gunpoint, and that's a metaphor for a lot of other addicts. A lot of us get into recovery or get sober not because we wanted to, but because we were forced to. And the way I was forced to was I got taken into Dallas County Jail, and my detox happened in there. And I really wasn't done with wanting the cravings of meth until I got sentenced to life in prison that day on May 18th, 2009. That was the day when I got sentenced to life in prison that I knew that something had to change and that something was me. I just didn't know how to make the change. I didn't know where to begin at that point. And that's a good lesson for people listening, man. Sometimes life can be so overwhelming that just knowing you got to make the change is a good place to start. You don't have all the answers, but you got to go in that right direction. But this haziness is going on in my brain. 2000, I remember it was 2011 in prison. It was around March of 2011, and I get locked up in July of 2008. I finally one day just feel like this fog is gone from my brain. The meth use, I had this meth haze going on in my head, and I could start thinking clearly again. And that's when it all started coming to me. It's almost like when that started coming to me, I started receiving messages. I think your brain is like an antenna. What I mean by this is that your brain is a receptor. Your brain's a transducer, right? This microphone is a transducer, right? It can take messages and transform them into what we're supposed to hear what they are. And you get these messages from all over. And some people call it the God wave, some call it the universe, whatever you want to call it. But when that started clearing up, I started working on myself and started becoming that coffee bean. And now that I was clear of thinking again, I could work on myself every day in 3 different areas: spiritually, mentally, and physically. And I say spiritual because the gains that we're going to talk about today that I made inside of that prison and I've made since prison, I don't think human beings are capable of making gains like that without a spiritual component. And I didn't say religious component because I'm not one of these religion guys. I'm a spiritual guy. Yeah, but religion is a man-made concept in my opinion. Spirituality is your conscious contact with whatever you call God. And that's a beautiful thing about the 12-step program recovery I'm in is you can pick your higher power.
Yeah.
And also in 2011 is when I get into a program recovery. I finally start going to these meetings. And you're from Boston. This guy that brings the meeting in from the free world, he's from Boston. We'll call him Ray, protect his anonymity. But Ray brings this AA and NA meeting in from the free world into the prison. And every Wednesday morning we meet in the Chapel of Hope. And every Wednesday morning I started getting the answers to why I think the way I do. And I found out the 12 steps weren't just a good program for me to work as a recovering addict, but they're a program for living, because in the 12 steps, you start doing things like you turn your life and your will over to a higher power. And then you start making a list of all these resentments you have, the fears that you have in life, and you try to figure out why these resentments and why these fears really get to you, right? And I learned in the 12 steps that there's really 3 core human behavior, 3 basic instincts of human behavior that every resentment you have and every fear you have touches one or all 3 of these instincts. The instinct for social, to belong to a society, to belong to a community. The instinct for security, like financial security, have a good job, be able to take care of your family. And the instinct for sex. And I don't mean sex in a promiscuous way. I mean sex in the way of like recreating, procreating, reproducing, having a family. Social, security, and sex. And we believe in the 12 steps that all of our reactions to something touch one or all 3 of these basic instincts. And so when I started working this program recovery, I had a big resentment. And the resentment that I had that I couldn't get rid of that was holding me back in prison was against the judge in my case, Judge Mike Snipes. So Judge Snipes, I'm in prison, man, and I'm trying to work on myself, and I'm making some strides in here, but I can't let go of this resentment. So here's the story about Mike Snipes. Mike Snipes and I meet in the late 90s on a buddy of mine's yacht, this defense attorney in Dallas named George Milner. We meet on George's yacht.
You know George?
George had a yacht out there at the lake, and I was in college playing football, and I had a bunch of college cheerleaders and stuff like that hung around with me. George met me. So
where did you meet him?
At the lake.
Okay.
Yeah, out there in Lake Dallas, at Lake Louisville. There's actually Lake Louisville.
Okay.
And so George, obviously, he sees me hanging out with all these college girls. He's a defense attorney in Dallas. He's like, hey, why don't y'all come hang out on my boat? And so that was my ticket to hanging out with George. And I was a young guy in college, a young, cocky, arrogant guy. My college football days ended in 1996 with an injury against A&M. But, I'm still in a fraternity. I still run around on campus. I party a lot. So I bring the party onto George's boat. And on George's boat, I meet a guy named Mike Snipes. Now, Mike Snipes is a retired full bird colonel from the U.S. Army JAG. He was a lawyer in the Army. At the time that I meet him in the late 90s, he's a federal prosecutor in the Northern District of Texas. So he's an assistant U.S. attorney. And so Snipes and I meet, and I wouldn't say that we were close. I mean, I'm this cocky, arrogant college fraternity guy. He's this former full bird colonel. You imagine we mix like, water and dirt. We make mud, right? We're not really friends, but we hang around with each other. The last time I remember seeing Snipes was in 2004. His dad had just passed away, and I was at a bar, and we were all doing shots in honor of his dad. In fact, I bought him a shot in 2004. The next time I saw Judge Snipes was right after my arrest on July 30th, 2008. I show up in the courtroom of Criminal District Court 7. Mike Snipes' name is on the door. I'm like, oh, well, this might work out well.
And you had to your knowledge, no beef with him prior to this?
No.
We're in the same social circle.
Same social circles, man. I mean, you can tell someone doesn't really dig you, man. We don't dig each other, man. You're a square, and I'm a guy out partying, man. So, but no personal thing like that at all. So that's why I thought when I go into Snipes' courtroom, man, this could work out for me, Snipes signed the warrant that that the SWAT team got me. They signed the warrant for it. There's no probable cause in this warrant. And so I'm trying to get the warrant thrown out, but I'm in Snipes' courtroom. He won't let go of the warrant. And then Snipes started taking a very aggressive posture towards me. One of these pretrial hearings, it's a bond reduction hearing. I'm trying to get this bond from $1.4 million down to something manageable.
At any point, does your lawyer say, Snipes, you should recuse yourself? You guys know each other.
Yeah, we say we screw ourselves, and Snipes like, I'm not going to do it. Don't even waste your time with emotion. So yeah, at one point in a bond reduction hearing, he's like, "Do you think I'm going to let the Hannibal Lecter of burglaries out on bond?" No, denied. Your motion's denied. The Hannibal Lecter burglary. You're a judge, dude. What are you saying stuff like this? And even in the trial, so in the trial, Ken, I mean, like, and this is why I'm trying to let you know about my resentment against Snipes and so on. In the trial, you know, in the character witness part where I'm trying to like mitigate the damage that's been done, and I'm putting up these people that can testify that I'm a good guy when I'm not, drugs in my system. One of the guys is a former guy that ran for governor of Texas in 1998. I mean, this is a huge politician in Texas. Snipes is arguing with him on the stand. He's arguing every witness I put up. He starts arguing. He's doing the prosecutor's job. He's arguing my character witnesses. And my lawyer is terrible. This old guy named Ed Siegel, man. And Ed's dead now. But, I mean, Ed didn't do a great job at trial.
Yeah, I would say not if you got 65 years from houses.
But hey, I was a bad defendant, all right? I mean, I'm a bad guy. The biggest witness against me in my cases was me, man, all those jailhouse recordings. When I got that $1.4 million bond, I know they're listening, but Ken, I'm calling up people from the dope world. Hey, you owe me money from this job, man. Bring it up here right now, man. Bond me out. Cops are listening to these calls. They're going picking up people off the streets because I'm calling them, right? Criminals are stupid. And I was one of the dumbest criminals ever. So in this trial, Snipes was heavy-handed with me. I mean, and I got a life sentence in prison. And I carried this resentment around because I blame this guy for my life sentence. So whenever I'm in prison and I'm in there and I'm transforming myself, I'm becoming that coffee bean, I can't fully turn this thing over because I can't let go of this resentment against Snipes. Well, I fight my case. I go back to Dallas County Jail in 2013 on an evidentiary hearing, and it's in Snipes' courtroom, but he doesn't attend the hearing. He sends a magistrate judge, like an assistant judge in there. Well, we win the hearing. And the magistrate judge that he assigned to the case said, all right, Judge Snipes, Damon West deserves another sentencing trial. He got over-sentenced in this case. We need to bring him back to Dallas and re-sentence him. And Snipes is like, absolutely not. I'll never let West have any relief, In fact,
he must have robbed someone this guy knew. This is crazy.
I don't know. But I mean, the judge is not supposed to take an interest like that.
Right.
He's very biased. He's put this all in an email too. Well, the magistrate judge has never seen this kind of behavior from a judge before, a sitting judge. So she contacts my lawyer. And this is all after I'm in prison. My lawyers represent me after prison. She contacts him. He sends the emails and says, hey, I've never seen this before, but here it is. Well, my lawyer goes to Dallas, has a real serious conversation with Judge Snipes in his chambers. My lawyer walked out of that chambers that day with a recusal motion that is loaded for bear. And my new book, 6 Times in a Nickel, I put the entire motion in there. I mean, it's basically saying Judge Snipes did not follow the law. He broke the law. And he even says what criminal statute he broke, what civil code statute he broke. And he signs his name on this document. So he admits to all of it just so he can get off my case. Because, I mean, look, what he's done is he's lied to the Court of Criminal Appeals. And that's perjury. You're a judge. You can't commit perjury. So, in order for Judge Snipes to get out of this, he has to recuse himself, and he does. And so I'm sitting on the evidence now, and I'm in prison, man. I'm sitting on the evidence now. I got this recusal motion that Judge Snipes all along had something against me, and all my resentment against Snipes is justified. It's valid. I go to an AA meeting, man, that Wednesday morning. I find Ray, the guy from Boston, right? I find Ray, and Ray said, man, you look disturbed. Are you okay? And I said, yeah, man, I got him. He's like, what do you mean? I said, I got him, man. And I told Ray I got him. I got Snipes. And I told him about Snipes before. Ray looked at me. He said, Damon, where is your humility? And I was deflated, man. I'm like, what do you mean humility? I didn't do anything to Snipes. He did this to me. I'm a victim here. He said, haven't you ever done anything wrong to anybody before? Haven't you ever wanted somebody to forgive you that you did something wrong to them? They didn't do anything to you? He said, where is your humility? You're not working a program recovery, Damon. He said, no one that works a program recovery can live the way you're living right now. And in recovery, we have these things we call the 4 absolutes. The 4 absolutes are the 4 spiritual principles, as some people call them. Unselfish, honest, pure, and loving. Unselfish, honest, pure, and loving. if the things we want to do in life don't fit into those 4 categories, then they're over here where selfish, self-seeking, self-want, self-desire, self-delusion. And that's what he's telling me. He said, man, you're on the wrong side of the board right now. Man, you're way away from the spiritual principles right now. And I said, Ray, I can't let go of this resentment against him. He said, then we need to work a personal inventory, because you're going to get high again if you keep this resentment. And that's one of the reasons why addicts go back out again, is because they have these resentments they hold on to, and they put in chemicals to change the way they feel, right? So he goes up to the chalkboard and he draws 3 columns on the chalkboard. And each column represents one of these 3 basic instincts: social, security, and sex. Judge Snipes is a resentment over here in the corner. And he goes through it. Does your resentment against Judge Snipes affect your social instinct? Yeah, I'm an ex-con, Ray. I'm going to be an ex-con. Who wants to be around ex-cons, right? Society doesn't like ex-con. He said, well, check mark on that one. He said, does your resentment against Snipes affect your security instinct? Yeah, I'm an ex-con, Ray. What kind of jobs are going to be available as an ex-con? The rest of my life, I'm an ex-con. I can't get a good job anymore. He said, well, put a check mark there. So we checked that one. He said, does your resentment against Snipes affect your sex instinct? Yeah, Ray, I'm an ex-con. Who wants to be with this ex-con, right? What are my chances of finding a good woman now? He said, well, then check that box too. So I check all 3 of them. And he said, well, no wonder why your resentment against Snipes is so strong, man. He affects every one of your basic instincts as a human being. But he said, you know what, Damon, I forgot. There's a 4th column I forgot to draw up there. And in that 4th column, he writes up there, what role do I play? And he gave me the chalk. He said, I want you to write on the board what role you play in your resentment of Snipes. And I'm like, oh, man. And I could feel my resentment just sliding away, like melting like a candle. So I go up there and I write it, man. I was a drug addict who became a criminal, who broke into people's homes, who broke the social contract. I stole from people. I stole their sense of security. I robbed these people of their peace. And when you do all these things, you end up in a courtroom, and that courtroom said Judge Snipes, Criminal District Court 7, presiding. And Ray looked at me, man. He said, all of this is your fault. He said, in recovery, we want to find the role that we play in all of our problems. And when we can find the role that we play in our problems, because we play a role in all of our problems, we just got to find out what it is. That's the one thing we can change. That's the one thing we can fix. That's the only thing we can control. And I talk about that right now in this podcast because I know that everybody out there listening has resentments. You have stuff you're holding on to, but you've got to let that stuff go. In life, in recovery, all I'm trying to do is keep my side of the street clean. And if I can keep my side of the street clean, then that's all I'm supposed to do. I can't clean your side of the street clean. You can't clean mine. You can't clean anybody else's. If someone wrongs you, you have to forgive them and let that go, because you're going to want to be forgiven for other things you do in life. Kim, whenever I was in there in prison, and not only did I let go of my resentment to Snipes, but I learned how to let go of all my resentments. That's when life started taking off. Remember, I told you I'm working out in 3 phases every day spiritually. Spiritually, I'm becoming this different person. I'm out there looking for ways to serve. I learned how to pray when I got into recovery. I say the same prayer every morning that I've been praying since 2011. In whatever faith you are, listen to this thing. You can have my prayer. I get up in the morning, I say, hey, God, put in front of me what you need me to do today for you, and let me recognize it when I see it, because I don't want to miss whatever that thing is. Amen. Now I'm being useful again. I can serve people. And that's the way that I stay sober. I go out there and serve other people. In the 12 steps, the 8th step is you make a list of all the people you've harmed, and the 9th step is when you make the apology. But they have a caveat that says, except when to do so would cause you or the other party harm. And when you have a resentment when you have an apology you can't make, you do what's called living amends. And living amends is when you go out and do good deeds and you expect nothing in return. This is servant leadership. Servant leadership is helping other people reach their goals in life, helping to raise other people, do a different station in life, because when we help other people grow, we grow too. And that's what I started doing in prison. So I asked myself when I'm in there, how do I serve these guys around me? What can I do to change these guys' lives? What power do I have inside me? Because everybody has a power inside them to change the world around them. The coffee bean, right? And so it came to me because I had a very privileged life. I had a bachelor's degree in prison. The guys I'm locked up with, their education stopped in junior high somewhere, man.
Yeah.
So I opened a free tutoring service in prison. I start teaching guys how to read and write. I get them ready for the GED test. So if they ever get out of prison one day, they could become a better husband or a better father. And in prison, everything is transactional. There's nothing free in prison.
Right.
Like if someone says you something free, you better find a way to pay for it.
What was the form of currency there? I know in some places,
Solitary, man.
Sardines.
Yeah, you get sardines were a good one. Tuna is, the packages of meat. Any package of meat was good. Soups are good. Those ramen noodle soups, yeah, that's currency. Stuff off the commissary is what you're going to pay with. So these guys that I'm teaching how to write, one particular, this old Hispanic guy that was the best artist I've ever seen in prison, man. This guy could shade or draw anything, man. And they're big on tattoos too, because, you know, you have guys that can tat, man, or they're really in high demand. This artist, I mean, he's an older guy in his 60s, and I'm teaching him how to read for the first time, right? And he's really digging it, he's enjoying it, but he keeps bugging me, man. Like, I got to pay you something, West. I can't keep taking these for free. Nothing's free in prison. And I tell him, I said, man, don't pay it back, pay it forward. And I teach him and these other guys about paying something forward, right? Don't pay me back for learning how to read. Pay it forward. Find someone else in need and go meet that needing other person. So he comes to me one day, he's so excited. And this is when I can see the transformation happen in prison. He comes to me, he said, hey, man, listen. And I can't remember the guy's name, but he said, the guy over there, it's indigent. Indigent means you have no money.
Yeah.
He said, the word on the street is he wants a Christmas card made for his family, and he didn't have any money for a Christmas card. He said, Damon, I'm going to make him the most badass Christmas card that's ever been made. I'm going to make him a portrait. And he's not going to have to pay me a dime for it because I'm going to pay it forward to him, what you've done for me. That's how I'm going to pay you back, Damon. Go for it. Do it. His story gets me emotional every time I tell it. So this guy that he makes the card for, the indigent guy, this guy's been locked up a long time, Ken, a long time. Long enough that family members have died since he's been in there. New family members have been born. And it's one of the things, like I said in the beginning, when you go to prison, you take a lot of people with you, man. Your family and everybody believes in you. And your family pictures, and I saw this whenever I got out of prison, there was a period in time when Damon stopped showing up in family pictures. And this is, you know, when the drug addiction starts, and then prison, of course, I'm not there, and family pictures go on with or without you. And so what this guy did, this artist did, is he told that guy, he said, gather up every single individual family picture that you've been sent over the years in prison. And he said, I'm going to put you and all of them in the same picture together. And man, the inmate that's been locked up all those years, he draws him in a situation right there. And then he draws perfect replicas of every single human being that's ever seen him a picture in this big, giant portrait of all these happy faces. And that's what that guy got to send his family for Christmas that year, man. And I mean, gives me chills to talk about. I was blown away. But those guys started learning about what it means to have a good community. A good community is where everybody puts their talents on the table, and you want to help other. Hey, this is my talent. I'm throwing it on the table. If anybody needs this talent, come see me. I've got this talent. Well, the indigent guy that got the card, it didn't stop there, man. He saw that there were people in need. Guys that are in wheelchairs. They want to get to chow, right? You're pushing yourself in a wheelchair to chow. This guy's job became pushing people to chow in the wheelchairs, man. He'd pick a different person every day in a wheelchair and push them to chow, man. Push them back to chow. He found a way to serve and a way to have purpose. And this is going on inside this prison, and it's not going on unnoticed. I mean, wardens are seeing it, captains are seeing it, volunteers are seeing it, the guards are seeing it, the other inmates are seeing it. This positivity changes, this positivity grows. Now, that's the spiritual side of changing my life. Mentally, emotionally, man, I'm reading as much as I can. I was a voracious reader in prison, especially when my brain started clearing up, right? And the meth clouds started leaving my brain. I knew I'd read that if I wanted to repair my brain, the neurology, what's going on inside my head, I had to exercise my brain, and reading was the way to exercise it. And not only that, I had to feed myself the right stuff. So I started having a diet that consisted of a lot of fish, because I heard that fish was good for repairing your brain. Fish, sunflower seeds, oatmeal without sugar or anything like that. I cut sugar out of my diet because I had read that sugar could maybe be a cause of Alzheimer's, you know? So I'm slowly reducing everything out of my life that could be a tragic thing for my body, for my mental state, my physical state. And I started getting the best shape possible. And it's almost like my aging starts reversing in prison. My family's like, man, you look younger in here. You know, it's like, it's going backwards. And I tell people all the time, prison preserved me because I used it as a place to transform myself inside there.
And at this point, none of the other inmates have beef with you. Everyone's just letting you do your thing.
Everybody's letting me do my thing, man. And I get to work. And I was running. I found a love for running in prison. You know, running was good for a couple of reasons, man. Running was good because it kept you in good shape, but it's also good because, man, nobody can talk to you while you're running.
Yeah.
And
I tell people all the time, this is just as much mental as it is physical.
Yeah. You and your thoughts in your head running around that track on the prison rec yard, man. You know, I'd have a routine every single day, and I stay by this routine. They have a saying in prison, you got to do your time. You can't let your time do you.
That's right.
And so I'm doing my time, man, and I'm doing my time the best that I can inside this place. And like I said, reading a lot of books. 2 things I learned about books. I never saw a guy reading a book get into a fight, and I never saw a fight over a book.
If you're looking for a clean, sustainable energy boost without the jitters, Athletic Nicotine is for you. Athletic Nicotine offers the lowest dose, slow release, tobacco-free nicotine made right here in the USA, and it's free from microplastics. Whether you're an athlete, a biohacker, an artist, or someone who just loves getting into that flow state, this product is designed to gradually lift your energy, helping you stay focused and sharp without crashing. It's perfect for shifting your mindset and keeping you in the zone all day long. I use Athletic Nicotine before every podcast or whenever I have to be mentally focused. I throw one in right before the meeting or the podcast, and it's the perfect performance tool to sharpen your mind. If you're ready to level up your focus, head over to athleticnicotine.com/rideout to grab yours today. Again, that's athleticnicotine.com/rideout.
I wanna switch gears and talk about how you ended up here and like your early days and playing sports and how you got introduced to drugs and how it went downhill so quickly. Tell me about early Damon. Like I know you played football at North Texas. Talk to me about growing up and playing sports and how you ended up in this hellhole and this horrific situation. How you got introduced to drugs. What happened?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. So I mean, like I grew up in Texas, and everybody knows Texas high school football, Friday Night Lights, and I grew up under the lights, man. I was a good student growing up, but I was a great athlete. God blessed me with a cannon for a right arm, and the Friday Night Lights, man. The lights are intoxicating. I grew up under those lights for 3 years. I was starting quarterback for a 5A school. I was like the hero in my hometown. I get a scholarship to a Division I college football at the University of North Texas. I mean, and by the time I'm 20, I'm the starting quarterback on a Division I team. Man, I thought I had arrived. My head was this big, but life has a way of giving us these days that I call fork in the roads. Fork in the roads are the tough days in life. Those are the days you get knocked down. And Ken, you've been to fork in the roads. We talked about this at lunch, man. But you make a choice at a fork in the road because you have to go one direction or the other. You make the right choice to go the right way, the wrong choice to go the wrong direction. So my fork in the road happened on September 21st, 1996. We were playing Texas A&M. Third play of this game, I go down with a career and injury. Never played college football again. And when I get up to this fork in the road in life and football is gone, my identity was gone too.
Yep.
I wrapped it all up into being a football player, man. That was my identity in life, and that was gone. And when that was gone, that's when the drugs come in. It's cocaine, it's ecstasy, it's pills. But I'm a pretty functional addict, man. But the very definition of addiction, one of the definitions is that you cannot live life on life's terms. And you put chemicals in to change the way you feel. But another definition of addiction is addicts give up their goals to meet their behaviors.
That's right.
That's what an addict does. An addict will give up their goals to meet their behaviors. And addiction doesn't have to be drugs or alcohol again. It could be food, money, clothing, shopping, sex, pornography, the internet, social media, whatever it is. If you find yourself in a place in life where you're giving up your goals to meet a behavior, you're an addict too.
Yep.
And I've started giving my goals away. And I go graduate college. I go off to Washington, D.C. I work in the United States Congress. Then I work for a guy running for president of the United States.
How did you get that job? Through your dad?
No, I moved out to Washington. I was kind of running away from my cocaine addiction. I thought, man, if I just move off to another city far enough away, let me go to Washington, D.C., because I've always liked politics. So I'm going to move to Washington, D.C. to get away from my cocaine addiction. And once I change the city I'm in, then everything else will be fine, right? Wrong.
I found that when I went through almost the same exact struggle, but I found that when I stopped drinking, the craving for cocaine went away. But as soon as I had 1 or 2 drinks, I was like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah. I mean,
So I stopped drinking for a long time when I first moved to New York from Boston when I was, a young adult. Did you find that connection?
I had the craving for cocaine even without alcohol. But when I was drinking, for sure, I mean, because you could level yourself out. You could drink you could day drink on that stuff, and you never feel the effects of the alcohol.
Yep.
But nothing was going to fix me, because wherever you go, there you are.
That's
I could
right.
change all the different cities in the
right.
world. You can't
cannot
run you.
these drugs.
You take you everywhere you go.
That's exactly right.
And so after living in D.C., I got, I had played college football in Texas, and so I get to Washington, D.C., and I found a Texas congressman, Gene Green from Houston. I had a pretty good Texas resume going for me. You played Division I college football in Texas. You were a high school football star in your hometown. In Texas, some things matter more than others. And so, I got a job on Capitol Hill. Then I got a job working for a guy running for president, raising money for him all over America. 2004, he drops out of the race for president, and I'm sitting with this giant book of like these donors, man, these very wealthy, these millionaires and billionaires in the Democratic Party, because the guy I raised money for was a Democrat. And so I took my book of business to the to UBS, United Bank of Switzerland.
Yep.
And I got a job in Dallas, Texas, working for UBS, one of the biggest banks in the world. And I was going to be a stockbroker. And I mean, like, hey, this is it. I'm back in Denton, where I went to school at the University of North Texas in Denton, Texas, which is right outside of Dallas. So I'm back in the Metroplex again. I got all my old buddies with me from college. My fraternity brothers. We're back partying again. We're doing blow. We're hanging out. And in 2004, I'm passed out of sleep at work one day at UBS. This other broker comes in. He sees me sleeping. He wakes me up, visibly shaking, man. He's a little freaked out. He's like, dude, you can't sleep on this job. The markets are open. You're messing with people's money. They'll fire you if they catch you sleeping here. He said, come on down to the parking garage. I got something that'll pick you up. So I follow this guy in the parking garage that day. We get into his nice little sports car. He hands me a glass pipe with crystal rocks in it. And I'm like, man, what is that? You know? He said, Damon, just relax. It's crystal meth. He said, you're going to love this stuff. Ken, truer words than ever been spoken. I fell in love with crystal meth. It's the most evil, most destructive, most addictive drug ever created by man. It's made in a lab. It's made to get you hooked. I smoked it one time, instantly hooked just like that. And I couldn't give everything away fast enough for that drug. Because remember, that's what addicts do. We give things away. I gave up my job, my home, my car, my savings account, my family, my tethering to God. In 18 months, I go from working on Wall Street to living on the streets of Dallas. And when I say living on the streets of Dallas, Ken, I'm homeless. Man, I'm living in dope houses. I'm sleeping in people's cars. I become a criminal at this point because I have no more money. So it's petty crimes at first, too. It's shoplifting, breaking into cars, breaking into storage units.
And do your parents know that something's up?
They know that something's up, but they don't know what it is. And every time they call me, I'm 6 hours away from where they live. Every time they call me, I lie to them because that's what addicts do. We lie, we manipulate, we do whatever we have to do because we want what we want when we want it. That's addiction. And that's when you're in your addiction, there's good. And I'll say this about addiction. I believe for the most part, addicts are sick people who do bad things. Not the other way around. I don't think most addicts are bad people who do sick things. We're sick people who do bad things. And in my addiction, I did a lot of bad things. And the petty crimes, shoplifting, breaking into cars, breaking into storage units, escalated to the very serious crime of home burglary.
But not home invasions. People weren't home.
Nobody was home. Nobody was home. And I went to great lengths. In fact, this is a good time to talk about the great lengths I went to. Like, I made sure that no one was ever home during these burglaries. Like, one of the first burglaries I ever did, I broke into a U.S. post office. I stole a mailman uniform. The whole thing, man. I got a mailman hat. I got a bag, the bag they carry around. I got the suit and everything. It fits on me and everything.
You weren't clowning around. You were like serious about.
Well, you have a preservation of life instinct, right?
Yeah.
And my 5th grade teacher told me, Damon, you're a leader. You're a natural born leader. You're going to lead people in life, but the choice is yours whether you're going to lead people the right way or the wrong way. And obviously, I'd been a good leader at one time when I was the quarterback of a football team. But now I'm the bad leader, man. I'm the quarterback again, only this time the team is a bunch of other meth addicts. And the sport is breaking into people's homes to steal for meth. And that's what we did. We stole for meth. That's the whole thing about. That's why there was nobody had anything to show for the Uptown burglaries. We're breaking into people's houses and stealing for meth. But the reason why I stole the mailman outfit is the preservation of life thing again. I don't want to get caught. And so I know I've got to go into people's homes that are not there. So what I would do with my mailman outfit is I would sit outside some of these condo buildings in Uptown Dallas, and I'd wait for the real mailman to leave to do his job there. And once the real mailman got in his little mail truck and walked out and left, I'd wait about 15 minutes, and I'd come up strutting up in my mailman outfit. And people are getting the gate for me because, we got to let the mailman in. He's got all of our mail. So now I'm inside. I'm a Trojan horse. And inside a lot of these condo buildings, they had mail kiosks. Now, the mail kiosk is literally a mail room, right? And on the outside, you have your little key to your one little box. You can open it up and get your mail out, close your little box. But there's a door with a deadbolt on it that if you get inside that door, all there are a bunch of slots, like a mail room in there. The mailman has that key. But guess what? I can pick a deadbolt. So dressed as the mailman, I would go into these mail rooms, and I'd look in these slots, and some of them had mail stuffed in them, man. So no one's home. No one's checking that mail. Some of the boxes said, out of town from this date to this date. Hold our mail. That's how I'm picking my victims at first. I know these people aren't home because they're telling the mailman to hold the mail. And so I'd get a list of all the places that weren't there. I'd make a list, and on a weekend, I'd take the other dope fiends in this burger ring that we have. It's just a bunch of dope fiends. That's all we are. But I dressed them up in Dickie overalls. We had a box truck. We had dollies and everything. We took a moving company. Literally, people are holding the gates for us. So as we're moving out their neighbor's stuff, they don't know.
So bold.
Yeah, and it's very bold. And you know, this is part of the reason why you think, well, I mean, you know, when they got you, they set your bond so high. They also, I mean, you know, I was a very thoughtful guy doing this stuff, like not in a good way. Like I'm thinking things out, like so much so, like, all right, Ken, so some of these burglaries, you go in there, you got these, you know, young and old, male and female, black and white. There's people from all over because addiction doesn't care who you are. So these people are inside these apartments of these condos, and sometimes we're in there the whole weekend. We're eating food. I mean, it's bold. But whenever I go in there, a lot of times I'm trying to find if it's someone that's out of town and I know they're out of town, I want to find the car key that's likely left behind. You know, people leave their keys in the kitchen drawer, in the kitchen hanging on the hook, bedroom nightstand drawer, whatever, office, desk, whatever. I would find the spare key of the vehicle likely left behind. Then I would go to the parking garage and I would hit the key fob until I hear the boop, boop. Now, I got a Mercedes, I got a Land Rover, I got a BMW, because these are nice parts of Dallas.
Yeah.
I would fill that car up with all the things you don't want to keep from a burglary. Think about checkbook, credit cards, wallet, laptops, all things that can be traced back to a burglary. I'd fill that car up with all the things you don't want to keep, and I'd have one of my partners in crime follow me out to one of the worst neighborhoods in Dallas. South Dallas, East Dallas, the barrio, the hood, places I'd rather the cops be looking for these crimes. And I'd go and I'd find a car wash that's hopping on a Saturday, man. I'd pull that that $100,000 vehicle up, window rolled down, music blaring, hop out of the car, and walk off and leave it there. Now, I don't know how long that car that's running out there, if this car wash has lasted before someone hopped in. It's like, oh, the white boy left a car behind. Look at that. He left his credit card and his laptop and everything. Well, let's go buy some cigarettes and beer at that store right there. And so I'm literally dropping off clues and breadcrumbs in neighborhoods, places I don't want the cop. I'd rather the cops look than finding me, right? So I'm playing cat and mouse with the Dallas police. But remember, criminals are stupid. We all make mistakes. And of course, the biggest mistake we were making was the cars. Dustin kept one of the cars from one of these burglaries, and we both kept a couple of cars. But I cleaned my car up, and I had new VIN numbers. I found a guy in Canada he sent me like literally an ambassador plate, from a Canadian ambassador plate, a Maple Leaf sticker, a new VIN number to put in the dash. And so Dustin didn't do that. So Dustin had this Mazda RX-8 that he kept from one of the burglaries. And I remember the date, February 27th, 2008. This is about 6 months before it all goes down. He calls me up about 4 in the afternoon. He's freaked out. Oh my God, the cops are here. They got my vehicle. And I'm like, what do you mean? He said, man, I'm watching he was out by DFW airport. He said, man, they got my vehicle out there and they're towing it. And I said, what cops? He said, man, I don't know. This guy's got a cowboy hat on. He's got a sports coat. He's got jeans. He's got on boots. I'm thinking to myself, man, I've never heard of a cop that dressed like that, you know? And I said, man, we get the number off the tow truck off the side. We got to figure out, you know, we got to figure out how to get that car. I said, what's in the car? His burglary bag was in there, Ken. Everything he kept. Dustin liked guns. He had a gun in there, had burglary tools. I'm like, oh man, his whole bag is in there. And my fingerprints are all over the dashboard and the passenger side. I mean, I've ridden in the car many times.
But you've never been arrested at this point.
I've been arrested. I've been arrested for petty stuff, like possession of drugs, stuff like that. I mean, I'm a drug addict, so I've had a few run-ins with the law, but they never knew when they were arresting me, you know, this is the Uptown burglar, right? So Dustin's like, my whole bag is in there, Damon. I'm like, oh my God. So we gotta find out what the tow truck lot is. You know, we have to get that bag out of there. He calls me about an hour later. It's 5 p.m. now. Oh my God. He said, Damon, I just called the impound lot, and the Texas Rangers got on the phone. The Texas Rangers are like the FBI in Texas. Ken, this is like bad. This is not the baseball team. This is like bad. He said, the Texas Rangers got on the phone and said, that's our car now, and we're coming to get you tomorrow. And hung up on him. Didn't want to talk to him. I'm like, oh my God. I said, stay where you are, man. I'm right by downtown Dallas. He's at DFW airport. I get high as a kite, man. I smoke as much meth as I can. I tell my roommate, this girl named Jenny, I give her all the money. I have like $1,400 I had under my bed. I give her the money, and it's one of these conversations. If I'm not back when the sun comes up, this impound lot in this county, you got to get me out of jail before they put it all together. She's like, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to get this burglary bag out of this police impound. I got to get that bag out. So I drive to Dustin's house. I get the key fob from him, and I drive out to the impound lot. And the impound lot, let's say it's shaped like a baseball diamond, right? Home plate is where the gate is. It opens up for the trucks to come in. And the infield of this lot is where the trucks drive around. And all over the field in there are just cars and cars and cars. And the outfield, the infield. But there's like a baseline that goes around the whole thing. And that's where the trucks drive, and they drop off cars all over the impound lot. So I'll go out there, and, I'm trying to get a good view of this thing. There's an 8-foot fence around this place. And I find this tree out in the center field of the impound lot. And I climb this tree up. I climb up this tree, and I look down. And so they say the tree is in center field. I'm looking down. That Mazda RX-8 is backed in right there in center field. I'm like, man, there it is. So I hit the key fob. I drop down. I get in the car. And there's a dog. The dog hears me, but the dog can't find me. So the dog eventually leaves. I look back in the back seat. Burglar bag's back there. So the cops never checked it, right? It's 5 p.m. They're going home. The car's in the impound lot. It's safe. I see that burglary bag in the back. You know what I thought? That's cool, but I'm going to take this whole car now. Start this car up, man. So I pull out slowly, man, and I'm driving around, second to third, around the corner, third to home, and I shut the car down. And I'm waiting between that third and home baseline, and I'm waiting for that gate to move, because there's going to be another truck bringing another car, and the tow truck runs. And as soon as that gate starts winding up, I turn the car back on. I got my foot on the clutch. It's stick. And I'm waiting, man. And what I'm waiting for is the front of the vehicle that the tow truck is towing. And when I see the front of that vehicle, I'm going to punch it. And I'm going for that gate, because that gate closes fast. And so, man, I get the car revving, and I see the front of the vehicle, and I punch it. And I can still see this tow truck driver's eyes, man. They are this big, like eyes wide as saucers. Two things are going to happen. One of two things are going to happen, right? Natural instinct, he presses the gas and floors it because he don't want to be T-boned by this car. Or he could just shut it down. He's in a 5-ton vehicle. I'm in a little Mazda RX-8. I'm going to crush like a Coke can. But he does what human instinct is. He presses the gas, and he drives that tow truck in that car faster down the first baseline. I get the home plate, and I swerve, and I turn, and I'm doing donuts. And when I look up, I'm in the parking lot. Stole the whole car from the Texas Rangers. And that is what kicked the hornet's nest, man. That is what set it off we set Dallas on fire at that point. But again, we're on dope, and we're not gonna run from it, because we're all trying to we're all trying to steal for dope. And one of the last burglaries we ever committed, it was on the July 4th weekend of 2008. Remember, we go down July 30th, 2008. And it's weird, because Ken, the last burglary was the biggest burglary victim I ever had. So we break into this woman's condo in Uptown. And we're at the end of our rope here, man. We're pretty strung out at this point. And we're just looking for anything we can take and run with electronics, stuff like that. But we find a safe in our closet, and we pop the safe open. And in the safe, there's a diamond ring. And we steal it, because we're dope fiends. What we didn't see was the tri-folded American flag on the wall. We didn't see the killed in action plaque next to it. And we didn't see all the pictures of her dead fiance who had stepped on an IED in Iraq the year before in 2007.
Well, that's probably why Snipes had it in for you.
Maybe, and that's probably a good thought, because Snipes is a full-bar colonel. I stole from this lady the last memory she had of a soldier that goes off and fights for the rights of even a scumbag like me to live in America. And she got her ring back. And I remember when I went to trial, she was the first victim of the trial. I mean, who better start the trial off with, right? And I remember hearing her testimony at trial, and it stuck with me so bad. I was like, she was the face of everything that I did wrong. And it turned out the ring she got back, it wasn't even the real thing. Dustin, I guess, had swapped it out, or somebody had swapped it out along the way, because what she got back wasn't the real ring. I carried that thought of her and that ring and what I did to her with me around that prison the whole time. It was like a toxic friend. It was like my penance that I had to pay for what I did. And, that's the hardest one, Ken, because I can't apologize. I understand that for the things I've done. And when I'm in prison, I learned about living amends. She's the first person I think of, like, wow, I can do a bunch of living amends to pay off that debt in life, because I owe that debt. So I go to prison, and, The trial, you know how the trial ended up. I mean, the trial lasted 6 days. The jury was gone for 10 minutes of deliberation. I mean, like 10 minutes. They were just ready to get home. They gave me 65 years.
Days for a trial is crazy.
Yeah, for crimes where no one got physically hurt. These are property crimes, man, but the evidence of my guilt was overwhelming. And of course, like I said, I was the biggest person that testified against me because I had these jailhouse recordings. And the prosecutor's saying things like he's the Tony Soprano of Dallas. He's the Al Capone of Dallas, you know? Not true. I mean, I'm a dope fiend, and I'm doing a lot of stuff. I'm breaking into people's houses. But I mean, Tony Soprano and Al Capone killed people, man. I didn't ever hurt anybody physically. I was a dope fiend trying to get dope. And now look, I'm not minimizing what I did. I did all my crimes. I'm gonna go do all my time, and I did it. I own it. I'm guilty of everything they said. So, and that's one of the things when you go to prison, you come up for parole. The parole board is going to ask you if you accept full responsibility for the things you did. You actually have to sign off on that before you get out of prison in Texas. You have to accept responsibility for the things you did. My first parole hearing happened in 2015. Now, just because I have a first parole hearing doesn't mean I'm going to make parole. I'm 7 years into a life sentence, right?
Of course, I would think that there's no chance.
No chance. I mean, and nobody makes a first parole. And I don't go in there thinking I'm going to make parole. But the lady from parole that brings me in 2015 for my interview, she's like, listen, we don't see a lot of people like you. You know, you had it all. You had every advantage, every privilege, and every opportunity over everybody else your entire life. She said, you're the definition of a privileged person in America. But she said, you blew through all your privileges, Mr. West. You became a drug addict, a criminal, and a thief, and a jury in Dallas gave you life in prison for the things you did. She also said, I think you got too much time. She said, so I have one question for you. She said, if you could be remembered for being anything in life, anything at all, she said, tell me what that one thing would be, but give it to me in just one word. Go. And Ken, I didn't have to think about that answer. I knew that answer because I'd been living that answer, because I'd been living a program recovery for all those years. I'd been building an answer. I'd been building this new brand called Damon West, you know. Back in 2011, I got a letter from my favorite teacher, growing up, and Mr. Jellin wrote me this letter. My junior high teacher writes me a letter, and in that letter, he tells me, man, you've been the highest, the lowest, but you've always been able to bounce back. You've always been able to recover. And he said, I think you'll bounce back for this. And he said, I think you should consider sharing your story one day with other people. And he said, I think that's going to be what you do in life. And then that gave me a purpose when I was in there. Because if I'm going to believe Mr. Jellin, what does my story look like? I'm in prison. I've got to rebuild the best story. And that's what I've been doing. I've been rebuilding this incredible story, this brand that everybody sees now, the Coffee Bean and Damon West. That started in prison, man. I started building that brand in a dungeon. But more importantly, in that letter, he had 4 words in that letter. These are 4 words you usually hear from a teacher or a coach, but everybody needs to hear these 4 words from somebody in life. He said, I believe in you.
Yep.
Man, I slept with that letter, Ken. That letter went everywhere in prison with me. You couldn't separate the letter from me because it had the blueprint for my new life and it had those 4 words in it. And that's what I told that lady that day. I said, my one word is useful. I said, I just want to be useful, and I can be useful inside this prison, as you've already seen, or I could be useful in the free world again. And on November 16th, 2015, Ken, 7 years, 3 months, and 18 days into a life sentence, I walk out of a Texas prison.
They gave you parole?
They gave me my first parole.
That's unheard of.
Unheard of, man. And I mean, now you're hitting it. I'm on parole. I'm not free, right? I'm not a free man. Like I'm on parole till 2073. I'm on parole for the next 48 years from this recording. But I don't live inside of a prison anymore, Ken.
God.
I walk out of a prison. I mean, November 16, 2015, I step out of a maximum security prison. I step into my parents' arms.
How much time do you have to go back to your cell to recuperate, or do they even allow you back in there knowing that you're probably in danger? People think you're going home.
There's no program like that for you. They know you're a marked man, but you just got to deal with it. In Texas, you cannot get any disciplinary case. If you do, you lose your parole.
So when you get parole, how much time do you have to go back to your cell to know that you're coming home, you're going home?
I got about 6 months before yeah.
So did you tell anyone that you got paroled, or is it public information?
Great question. This is crazy. And you don't even know the answer to this question. So, all right. So
I would be like, I'm not, there's a lot of people that will tell you, like, whatever makes you happy, whatever your plans are, don't tell anyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
No one likes to steal joy more than people that don't have any.
May 1st, 2015 is when I found out I made parole. And I found out because I didn't get the answer that day with the parole interview. I found out because on May 1st, 2015, the Friday, I called my parents. Now, my parents live about 15 minutes away from the prison. My parents had been to see me over 150 times in prison, Ken. They never let go of me. My parents loved my parents were there every weekend, man. I had love from the outside. I always had like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And you know prison, man. If you had 5 visitors in 5 years, you're the richest man in the joint. I had a visitor every weekend, man. My family would be there. If they couldn't be there, they send a friend of the family. So every Friday I'd call my parents and say, hey, you're gonna, you coming to visitation. What day are you coming to visitation? What I would ask them, because I knew they were coming. And so I called that Friday. I was on a break from work. I worked in the chapel. And I said, hey, Mom, what day y'all coming this weekend? She said, babe, we need to talk. She said, I went to the parole website and they announced the decision on your parole. And immediately, Ken, I go into recovery mode. I'm like, Mom, listen, I told you it's not going to happen the first time. And we got a better chance next year. And I feel better about next year anyway, Mom. I'm trying to make my mom feel better. I'm like, I feel like next year's going to be the year anyway, because I got some good stuff going on in prison. Will transform myself. She said, baby, you made parole. You're going home. And she said, I asked them for the toughest parole program they have. It's a 6-month drug treatment center you go to. And the reason why it's the toughest program is because the strings attached to this thing. It's a drug treatment center, but after you get out, you have all these rules you live by in a substance abuse parole program. Rules like every month that you're out of prison on parole, you take a drug test, alcohol test too. If you fail one, you go back and finish your sentence. You got one test every month for the rest of your life. And if you fail one test, you go back to prison. They take you to jail that day. They take you to prison that day. Rules like I can never go into a bar or club the rest of my life. I can't enter into a bar or club. Any establishment.
Nothing good ever happens in those places. And
They say if you hang around a barbershop long enough, you get a haircut. So that's what they say. That's what parole says. But I asked them for the toughest parole program they have, and it's 6 months in prison therapeutic community, and after that is all the tough requirements. And she said they gave you that tough parole program you asked for. They gave it to you, and you're going to be shipped off to another unit for the drug treatment center unit. And Ken, I made the biggest mistake in the world. I cried on the day room phone that day. I'm bawling like a baby when she said the nightmare's over, you're coming home, and then the tears started flooding. And I'm like, oh man, and I realized what I did. I started trying to straighten up, and I was like, Mom, I gotta let you go. I'll call you back later. I hung up on her, and I run off to the chapel, and I'm like, I get to the chapel, and I tell the chaplain, and these guys I work with in the chapel, man, you could find some good people in the chapel. Yeah. You could also find some charlatans. When people told me they were Christians in there, people tell me they're Christians out here in the free world.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you're a Christian. Show me you're a Christian.
That's right.
Show me the stuff that shows up in the red ink in the New Testament. Show me love, compassion. Show me mercy. Show me all these things that you see Jesus saying in red ink. And when someone wrongs you, show me that stuff in the red ink that says, let he without sin cast the first stone.
That's right.
A lot of people that call themselves Christians don't want to show you that. They just want to talk about it. That's why when people start talking about them being a Christian, I grab my wallet, make sure you take them a pocket. And so, but I got some good dudes around me in the chapel that I work with. These are guys that walk the talk. And the chaplain is in there too, Chaplain Vance. And so I'm like telling them, man, I just made parole. And you can see these guys are crying too, man.
And they've got to be like, how did this happen? This is crazy.
And, and like, I'm a Christian, so I mean, I believe in Christ, and I was like, it's got to be a God thing. Everybody agrees it is. And then we all have a good cry. And then we go into cleanup mode, because it's like, hey, listen, here's the other part to it. When my mom told me that in the day room, I cried on the phone like crazy. And the guys get stone-faced. They're like, no, you didn't. I'm like, yes, I did. And the chaplain jumps in. He said, well, we got to make up a story about why you're crying.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So here's the deal. So now I got the chaplain on cleanup duty. He said, all right, we're going to say your grandma died. Your grandma still alive? No, both my grandmas are dead. Good. So your grandma died. And you talk to your mom, and I'm going to back it up, and I'm going to tell anybody that asks that your grandma died, we call her for a chapel visit, Because in prison, if someone comes to your pod, a guard comes in and says, hey, they want to see you at the chapel, you got a phone call. That's the worst news you can get in prison. That means somebody in your family died.
Yep.
So the chaplain's got my back. He said, I'm going to put in and say it was a chaplain call. I'll do the paperwork and everything. Well, I got this ironclad lie. I got these guys in the chapel backing me up. So I straighten up, and when count clears, I go back to my pod, and I go in there pretty stone faced. I go to my bunk, and I get my shower stuff. I just got off work. I'm gonna get my shower stuff and go take a shower and go relax for the day. And as I'm getting my shower stuff in my little, because you got cubicles over in the dorms now, I see these 3 Aryan Brotherhood guys coming. Big dudes, Aryan Brotherhood guys, man. I'm like, shit. And they come up and said, congratulations, West. And I'm like, what do you mean, congratulations? He said, man, one of the guys like, hey, man, don't play that with us, man. Whenever you were on the phone crying a while ago, so-and-so saw you crying, called his mom, and had his mom check the website. Website says you made parole, man. So you're a parolee now. And you know the rule in prison. For those of y'all listening don't know the rule, man. If someone's got a beef with you and you make parole, they got to get to you before you get on that bus. And they can take your parole from you. It's like a bunch of lobsters in a bucket, man. One lobster's not getting out of that bucket. No one's out. And that's when it shifted. And the guy said, how much food do you have in your locker? I started looking at my locker. I started doing an inventory. I said, I think I got enough. I can make it. I had enough mackerels, enough tunas, I had enough peanuts, sunflower seeds, oatmeal. They're like, all right, you run out of food, come see us, man. We got you. Don't go back to the chow hall the whole time you're here. Don't go to the rec yard the whole time you're here. You go up to the chapel every day, go to work, come back and take a shower. We'll be watching out for you when you shower. Make sure no one comes to get you in there. Get off this unit, man. Just get out of here. They said it'll be 2 weeks before the prison bus comes to get you for this program. It's always 2 weeks. 2 weeks to the day, man, on May 15th, 2015, man. The prison bus came to pick me up, and I walked off the Styles unit, man. I stayed my pod the whole last 2 weeks. And I go off to this in-prison therapeutic community at the Kyle unit right outside of Austin, Texas. And it was a whole different prison because that prison was just like a drug treatment center. I mean, you could climb the gate if you wanted to, but everybody's made parole. And it was in the last 6 months of prison that, I really made sure I was in the best shape of my life. And I mean, Ken, when I say the best shape of my life, I'm running 5 miles a day in there. And
I can't even imagine the optimism you must be feeling. You got 6 months left in a friggin', low-end spa treatment.
Oh man, it's like kiddie prison, man. And it's like, but here's the thing, full circle moment. I walk up and about 2 weeks left, man. And I walk by and they got a table full of Aryan Brotherhood guys. Cause there's all kinds of different people from prison. We've all made parole. 600 something people. We all made parole, man. Nobody's trying to rock the boat on this thing. And I walk up, these guys look miserable, man. They're just sitting at the table. They're all miserable. Heads are in their hands. And I walk up, I'm like, what's wrong with y'all, man? We're getting ready to walk out of prison. And one of the Aryan Brotherhood guys says, yeah, man, but man, we got to report when we get out. And I said, I got to report too, man. I got to see my PO in the first 48 hours. We all got to see our PO. And you're like, no, dumbass, we got to report to the gang when we get out. And I'm like, the gang? What do you mean? This isn't over? This gang thing you did the whole time you're here? It's never over, man. They're like, Wes, we got to do this for the rest of our lives. If we don't show up in 2 weeks, they come for our families, they come for us. We have to be part of the gang still. This goes on forever. And I'm like, man, and in that moment, I'm thinking about, man, thank you, Mom. Thank you for that direction you gave me. Thanks, Mohammed. Thanks, Carlos. Thanks. I was thinking about all the people along the way that helped me get where I was right there in that moment, that decision I made to go against the grain and not get in one of these Aryan Brotherhood gangs. Because, how are you going to stay out of prison if you're in a gang? So November 16, 2015, man, 7 years, 3 months, 18 days into a life sentence, I walk out of prison and I'm a free man. And my parents are there to pick me up. And it's very emotional, man.
Of course.
We're hugging, we're crying. They throw me in the car and they drove me home. And I say home because I lived in my parents' spare bedroom for the first 2 years out of prison. And I was grateful to have my parents' spare bedroom because there's a lot of people, they get out of prison, they don't have a home.
Yep.
But let me really paint this picture for you. I'm 40 years old. I just got out of prison. I'm on parole for the rest of my life. I got a job making just above minimum wage, and I live in my parents' spare bedroom. Not the best Tinder profile, right? So I was on the dating apps. But so I get out, and I know the first thing I do when I get out, I got to find Ray in the AA group. Because I told Ray all the time, I said, whenever I was in prison, I would tell him, man, when I get out of prison, I'm going to come find you at your AA group, and you're going to be my sponsor. And Ray would laugh it off too, man, because he's he gets lied to more than the police do.
Of course.
He's bringing an AA meeting to a Supermax prison, man. So, but that Monday, November 16, 2015, I walk into the Keep It Simple group in Beaumont, Texas, and there's Ray leading the group that night. And he looked at me and his jaw dropped. He said, you made it, man. I said, yeah, brother, I made it, man, and I don't want to go back. I said, I need a sponsor. He said, I'll be your sponsor under 2 conditions. 1 is that you go to any length I tell you to stay sober. And 2, if you ever have a thought of drinking or doing drugs, you'll call me first. He said, will you agree to those 2 things? I said, yeah. So he starts working with me, start working the steps. And look, remember, I got that director from Mr. Jello, my teacher. I'm going to go out and speak. And I know I got this incredible story, but the problem was no one was going to let an ex-con come in. And I found out really fast. You can't go knock at the door of a high school and say, I just got out of prison. I want to talk to your kids. And man, so like after a month out of prison, I'm at a sponsee meeting with Ray, and Ray walks in and I look miserable. He's like, Damon, I'm really worried about you. I'm afraid you're about to go back to prison. And man, I said, I ran right straight. What do you mean prison? I just got out of prison. He said, well, He said, you are stuck inside yourself, West. He said, I've never seen anybody stuck inside themselves that was working a program recovery. He said, you're going to go out and get drunk or high again. I'm like, man, Ray, relax, man. I don't have any thoughts of drinking or doing drugs. I'm in a rut, man. You know this. I mean, I can't go anywhere. No one wants me around. I'm an ex-con. He said, that's not true. He said, now it's self-pity. He said, now you're really going back to prison. He said, that's not true that no one wants you. He said, you have a lot of value. He said, look, here's the deal. You can't go do what you want to do, go speaking to school? Good. Go serve somewhere else. You got to go serve. He said, that's what you're missing right now. You're not serving anybody. He said, so what I want you to do, he's an old guy from Boston, man. He said, I want you to go to an old folks home. I know that's not the PC term. He said, go to an old folks home. He said, go to the front desk. He's go to the front desk, and he's got this god-awful Boston accent in Texas, man. Pocky-con, go to the front desk, ask them for a list of people that never get visitors anymore. He said, they're going to give you a list a mile long. He said, they don't care that what kind of criminal you are. You're not the kind of criminal they're afraid of. He said, you're fine with them being ex-con. He said, they're going to give you a list about a mile long. He said, I want you to spend your weekend this weekend with people that don't have visitors anymore, people whose families have dropped them off and forgotten about them. He said, you lived in an institution. You know what it's like to be lonely in there. And I did. Again, I knew what it's like to be lonely. In prison, they have a saying that says, you're never alone, but you're always lonely. And that really stuck with me. He said, you promised me you go to Inmates to stay sober for me to be your sponsor. Go do it. So that Saturday and Sunday, man, a month out of prison, I go out to an old folks home, senior citizen center, and I go to the front desk, and they give me a list a mile long. And I spent my entire weekend visiting with old people. Some of those people, Ken, hadn't had a visitor in 10 years, man. Think about living in a world, man, 10 years. No one just sits down and listens to you, man. And that's the thing about the human spirit, man. I think human beings want two things out of life. We want to belong. We want to be loved.
Yep.
And when those two things are met, the human spirit is capable of so much. And I'm proof of that, you know. And so I just spent my time visiting with those old people that weekend. And I went back the Monday for the meeting with Ray. And I'm like, man, you were right. And that was my first service work project out of prison, Ken. There weren't a lot of places for me to speak at the very beginning because I'm an ex-con. But I found service work projects. I found ways to do my living amends.
Yep.
And I was happy, man. Life was good, even though I wasn't speaking anywhere. But, you know, speaking. So I know I've got to get this presentation going, but I don't have a lot of places to speak. But you know what I had? In my parents' spare bedroom, there was a mirror in there, a little vanity mirror. So every night for 2 years, I practiced this presentation in front of that mirror. My presentation that I have today, I practiced in front of a mirror. I was getting in my reps. Because anything you want to be good at in life, you got to have to practice that in life, right? There's no such thing as an overnight success. You got to get in reps in life. And I'm practicing this presentation, and I'm getting my cues down, and I'm getting the right stories in there. I'm becoming a really good storyteller in front of that mirror because people love storytellers, right?
That's right.
And they love stories with certain elements, right? We love stories about the redemption story. I've got that. We love stories with sports. I got that too. We love true crime in prison. I got that. And so I'm getting these reps in, and I'm getting myself ready for the right opportunity. And I believe the right opportunity is going to be the world of college football because I played Division I college football. But the problem is it's been 20 years since I took a snap. The coaches don't know me. I don't know them.
Yeah.
January 11th, 2017. I've been out of prison 14 months at this point. I get a phone call from a buddy of mine in Houston. Houston is 90 miles from Beaumont, where I live. And this buddy of mine works for the media in Houston. He calls me up. He says, hey, Damon. He said, get to Houston right now. It's the Bear Bryant Coach of the Year Award. They're going to name the best college football coach in America. He said, the 8 best coaches in the country are in this room right now. I'm looking at them, man. I'm going to sneak you in this place. I got an extra press pass for you. So, man, I leave work early. My boss at work, I work at a law firm. My boss is like, man, get out of here. This could be your shot. First thing I do, I go to my parents' house. I change clothes. I change out into, I got 2 hand-me-down suits. I got the better of my 2 hand-me-down suits on, right? I drive to Houston. He sneaks me in the back door Toyota Center. He hands me a press pass. He said, go to work, man. I got to get to work now. So there I am in this room, man. All these coaches, USC, Wisconsin, Penn State, PJ Fleck, they're all in this room. And I run up to all these coaches and I shake their hand. And I give them my pitch of why they should bring me in to talk to their team. And every single coach I meet that night slams the door in my face. They all say no again. It's a bloodbath of no's. In 1 hour, I got 7 no's from 8 coaches. That's a no every 8 minutes, man.
Yep.
I'm standing in the corner of Toyota Center that night. I'm 10 feet from the door. I'm licking my wounds. I'm feeling sorry for myself. And the voice in my head is screaming at me, go home. The voice in my head is saying, you don't belong in this room. The voice in my head is calling me things like an imposter. And I know everybody listening to this podcast right now, you know the imposter voice. We all heard it before. But I'm going to tell you what I could do a long time ago. And you know this already. Listening to myself. I don't listen to myself because sometimes the voice in my head is fear talking to me. And I don't know what voice it is. And I don't want to listen to fear because fear's a liar.
That's right.
So I talk to myself. I've been doing this to prison. I would talk to myself when I ran around those tracks in prison and running. I talk to myself right now in this life. That night, I'm telling myself, you're not going anywhere, Damon. That last coach is going to tell you no to your face. And Ken, that last coach, he's the hardest guy to get to in the room. His team just beat Alabama 2 nights before for the national championship. Everybody wants a piece of this guy's time.
Yep.
But I'm not leaving until I talk to him. So I stalked Dabo Swinney, the head coach at Clemson, around this room. And Ken, I look like a crazy person, man. I'm hiding behind fake plants. You know, I'm weaving in and out of people. I'm pushing people out of the way. Dabo sees me, and security sees me too.
Yeah.
Who's going to get there first? So I get in front of Dabo, and I give him my best pitch, and it comes up so flat. It's a terrible pitch. And I come up for air, and Dabo looks terrified. He's like, you got a card on you? So I gave him my card, and he was nice enough. He took it from me. He said, I'll check you out, and he was gone. Well, Ken, that's a no. I've seen that no before that night. But you know what I feel good about? That no. You know what that no represented for me? Leaving it all on the field.
That's right.
One of the biggest takeaways from sports, you know this as a sports guy, you give it your all, and sometimes you're just going to come up short. Or like Mohammed said, you don't have to win all your fights, but you got to fight all your fights. Anybody that's ever worked a sales job in the world. So, man, I went home that night. I slept like a baby. Forgot about that night. 4 months later, I get an email out of the blue. This email is from the director of football operations at Clemson University, a guy named Mike Dooley. Mike Dooley's email said, hey, Damon, Coach Swinney met your award show in Houston. He'd love to have you come talk to his team. Do you have August 1st open? So August 1st, 2017, Ken, I go speak to the Clemson Tigers, defending national champions of college football. And when I get done with presentation night, Dabo's in my face. And Dabo's a high-energy guy. He's like, Damon, that's the most amazing story I've ever heard. I've never seen my players respond like that to a speaker. He said, have you been to Alabama to talk to their football team? And I looked at him like, no, Dabo, I didn't been to Alabama. What do you mean Alabama, man? I've been to Clemson?
Yeah.
He said, well, I just text Nick Saban from the back of the room. Let's see what happens. The next day, when my flight lands in Houston for my trip to Clemson, I turn my phone on, a voicemail and a text message from the director of football operations at the University of Alabama, the Whale, the biggest program in America with the best coach to ever do it. Here's what the voicemail said. Hey, Damon, Dabo called Coach Saban last night. And Coach Saban cannot wait to hear your story. He said, how does August 21st, 7:30 p.m. work for your calendar? I laughed out loud. I didn't even have a calendar at the time. I didn't need a calendar, man. Just like that, Ken, Dabo Swinney kicked open the big door to college football, and Dabo didn't stop there. Kirby Smart calls, Lincoln Riley, Chip Kelly, Lane Kiffin, Ryan Day. Every coach in America starts calling my phone. When are you coming to talk to my team? But the biggest event hadn't happened yet. I hadn't met this second servant leader I'm run into, right? It was August of 2018, 1 year after that first presentation at Clemson. I get a phone call out of the blue. And on the other end of my phone is this guy named John Gordon. Now, Ken, John Gordon is one of the biggest motivational speakers and authors in America. This is the Energy Bus guy.
Yep.
And I'm like, John, I know who you are, brother. How do you know who I am? He said, Dabo Swinney. He said, Damon, I was just in Dabo's office today. I talked to his team today. And he brought me in his office for 30 minutes. He told me your whole life story. And John said this before the pandemic. John said, Damon, the world needs a coffee bean message, Damon. Let's deliver this message to the world. He said, will you write a book with me? We'll call it The Coffee Bean. Ken, in the summer of 2019, 10 years after I first heard the story from Mohammed in a jail cell in Dallas County Jail, that book, The Coffee Bean, comes out, takes the world by storm, the whole planet. Starts off in America first. 4 to 6 weeks, it's riding high at the top of every bestseller list, gets a global publishing deal attached to it. Global publishing deals are rare.
Yeah.
That's when they reprint your book in every language of the world. This book starts popping up in Chinese and Spanish and Arabic, French, Italian, German, Vietnamese, Korean, just in time for the year 2020 when a global pandemic hits. And the entire world becomes this pot of boiling water, and the entire world is searching for the right message. And that's when the whole world discovered the coffee bean guy. Ken, my life goes flat to vertical, just like that. And it all goes back to that one night in Houston, Texas, January 11th, 2017, that night that I had 7 no's in the first hour.
That's right.
And I'm 10 feet from the door. And the voice in my head is telling me to go out and leave. And if I walk out that door that night, we're not having this conversation today, and the world doesn't have the coffee bean message. So, you know, I'm always telling everybody, you got to take your shots in this life. Like, you know, the only question you know the answer to in life is the one you do not ask.
That's right.
That answer's
I
no.
hope that when people are listening to this, they realize that, like, you're never out of the fight until you quit.
Yeah.
Or win.
And you're always closer to your goals than you think.
That's right.
You know, I mean, I didn't know how close I was to my goal. But I mean, since then, you know, since 2021, I've been on the road 20 to 25 days of every month sharing the story somewhere on the planet. I've created a massive speaking platform and book platform, you know, and people some people want to romanticize something like that. Wow, you did that in such a short time. No, I didn't. I started building this guy in 2010 in a prison cell, you know?
And the book, the most recent book, 6 Dimes and a Nickel, that's available now.
Yeah, that's available. It's out now. I just wrote that book. That's really what it is my life story. Every chapter is a principle I live my life by. The body of the chapter is a story behind the principle because, again, we learn from storytellers. And then at the end of the principle is at the end of the chapter is an application, how you apply that principle in your life too. Because I've learned that writing books and having some success in it, that people want a prescriptive formula, but they want stories told to them too.
That's right.
And so that's what this book, 6 Dimes and a Nickel, which means 65 years, life lessons to empower change. But 6 Dimes and a Nickel, yeah, it's out now. And one of the best stories in the book is about finding Mohammed, you know, because that was a big deal.
Of course.
When I got out of prison, I had to find this guy, you know. Part of the reason I wanted to find him is I told him I became a coffee bean because he told me, he said, you'll probably become an egg. But he said something that I think everybody needs to understand. He told me in county jail that eggs are the most common thing you find because the egg is a natural evolution of any human being in any difficult situation. He said, we have a tendency to get angry and mad before we do anything else in life. And some people get stuck in that anger and that madness, you know? And so I wanted to find him and tell him, man, I became the coffee bean, but he was dead. When I got out of prison, I found him. He was dead. He died on May 9th, 2017 of an opiate overdose in Dallas, Texas. So I found his family after that because he saved my life, and I owe my life to him. And I thought that his family would need to hear about what he did in my life because obviously he had a tragic life. He's been in and out of prison his entire life and dies of a drug overdose. And, you know, his family didn't have the best vision of him left. You know, he's on drugs all the time. He'd get out of prison. He'd come live with one of us, steal from us. And this cycle, he'd go back to prison and live with an addict. We know about this, right? And I said, look, I think we can change the way the world, and I think I can change the way you see your brother. And I mean, man, when you talk to his sisters, living sisters now, their backs are ramrod straight. My brother's a coffee bean guy. He's the guy that saved Damon West. Like, Damon's changed the world with his message. And I started a scholarship in his name too.
It's a great memory for his family to have something positive to attach to him other than just being a career criminal and heroin, you know, dying of a drug overdose.
Yeah. Yeah. You change the memory of a human being in the family's life. What's the value of that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, but I found out, and I started a scholarship. Every year I put $10,000 into a trust, and every year the family picks the winner, the James Lynn Baker II. That was his real name. The James Lynn Baker II Be a Coffee Bean Scholarship. Mohammed's his Muslim name. So, but every year the family picks the winner, and they've been picking winners left and right. You know, this guy's got a legacy now. There's a little girl named Megan that got the scholarship. Her mother's a school teacher. Her dad's a disabled veteran. Right now, Megan's sitting in class at Texas A&M. She's going to be an engineer.
Oh, wow.
This guy. And the family, their memory of him is different. And I found out something from the coffee bean. Like, the coffee bean, he didn't just give it to me in 2009 so I could become a redeemed man, because I have. Came by every metric. Yeah, redeemed man. I'm a husband. I'm a stepfather. I'm sober above all those other things. I'm a philanthropist. I'm a speaker. I'm an author. College professor. One of the things I did after prison, I got out and went and got a master's degree in criminal justice and became a professor at the University of Houston. Get this, man. For 3 years, I taught a class at University of Houston called Prisons in America. Like, I'm the only professor on the planet to teach a prison class who lived in prison. So by every metric, I'm a redeemed man. So the coffee bean was the message that I built this redeemed life. But I found out something way deeper than that. I found out that James Lynn Baker II, Mohammed, in 2009, he also gave me the coffee bean message so that I could come back and redeem him.
Good point.
Because every human being deserves redemption, Ken. We all are worthy of being redeemed. And sometimes we need help along the way. The 3 hardest words for a human being to say are, I need help. It's the hardest thing for people to say.
Oh, you're right.
But the truth is we all need help.
You mentioned earlier about one of the victims possibly reaching out, and that you were not allowed to reach out to victims or to apologize to victims?
Yeah, forgot about that, have you?
No.
Yeah, so, oh, man. So, all right. Victims in Texas, you can't apologize to victims of crimes. And I can't have any communication with the victims of my crimes. Do they ever, you asked me earlier, do they ever reach out to me? And I have. I've been reached out to by several of them. Most of the time, it's not positive.
Really?
I've had victims reach out and say, I can't believe they let you out of prison. They should have kept you there forever. I've had one of the detectives that took me down. I can't believe they let you out, and I look at it. I mean, like, they're entitled to their opinion. And I mean, especially the victims. I mean, I did something bad to them, and it's my hope that the victims can move on from the pain I did to them. But again, I can't reach out to them. I can't apologize. I'll never apologize. I'm not going to go back to prison to make an apology to these victims. A few years ago, I had an email, and it was from a name I didn't recognize. And the subject line of the email said, Damon, I forgive you. And I opened the email can. It was her. Remember the July 4th, 2008 burglary I told you I did? The ring? The ring that we stole from her dead fiance. I'm going to read what she said, but I had to frame this for you. So she says, Damon, I forgive you. And this email is tough. It's her perspective of when she sees that her apartment's been broken into that day. She gets off vacation. And the first place she says she runs to is the safe. Safe is busted open. Damn, the ring is gone. And when we went to trial, she got her ring back because the ring was at Dustin's apartment. When they got Dustin first, they got the ring. The ring was there at Dustin's apartment. So she felt good. She had been reunited with that ring, but then she found out that later on in life that ring wasn't a real diamond. So I don't know where it was switched out or what happened, but the wound was opened all over again. She found that out later in life. And then she said she sees a news story on TV and there's me. And she didn't even know I was out of prison. At first, you can imagine, man, she's like, anger, what's he doing out? The pain he caused me. I'm going to read you what she said. All right, here we go again. After she told me everything she told me about the day, I broke into her house and stole her ring, her most precious memory, the thing that she loved more than anything in the world. This is what she says to me. With that, I'd like to say, I forgive you. I'm moving on in the hope that you're a genuine person with a good heart, and the hope that you put others before money or fame as you share your story, and the hope that you and your family never experience great loss or violation. Most importantly, in the hope that you feel peace in knowing that we are saved from the mistakes we make in this world, thanks to the unfailing love of Christ. Life is such a gift. May you live it to the fullest, Damon. And I mean, when I read that thing, man, the tears were flowing. And the first thing I did, I called my parole officer. And the story is in 6 Dimes and Nickel. It's in the book. The chapter is called The Healing Power of Forgiveness. So the first thing I do is I call my parole officer and I email it to her, and she's crying on the phone. Ms. Braggs is crying too. She's like, I remember this victim. You've talked about her several times. She said, do not respond to this email. And I'm like, Ms. Braggs, I have to respond to this email. Otherwise she won't know I got it. She said, no one can respond to this email. I said, can you? She said, no, I'm not going to respond to the email. I can't do that. It's not the law. She can reach out to you. You can't reach out to her. So don't respond to the email. Do not, under any circumstance, make an apology to this woman or any other victims. And she let me go. So I understood. I understood the mission. I can't do that on parole. Now, the book, yeah, I check with my lawyers. I can talk, I can share with what another victim has said to me. So I put this story in the book because I want people to understand that whatever you're holding on to in life, let it go. It only holds you back in life. I mean, this woman forgave me for stealing her ring from her dead fiance, this war hero that dies fighting for my rights, your rights, everybody's rights. But I mean, I'm a scumbag at the time. But if she can forgive me for that, then not only just forgive me, but she told me to go live my life, Yeah. What holds you back in life? Not you, Ken, but everybody listening to this thing.
Of course.
You got to let it go because resentments are like drinking poison to hope the other person dies.
That's right.
And a resentment, it only bothers you. And this is what I learned with Snipes. What I learned with all these other resentments I had in life. They only hold you back in life. And to this day, I have this philosophy in life, Ken, and I'm sure you'll appreciate this philosophy. My philosophy is I have no enemies. You can't be my enemy. Now, I may be your enemy. I may be someone else's enemy, but
That's right.
You can't be my enemy. You can't occupy that space inside my head because that space is valuable. I had to fight to get that space back, to get through the drug haze of, of meth and a diet that would help get my brain back in shape. And I've done it. I've been able to do it. I'm not going to let anybody in. Ken, I'm going to say this one last thing. You can take this from the guy that spent almost 10 years in the joint or the professor who teaches about the joint. I meet more people out here in the free world that are locked up than I ever did when I served time in a real prison.
That's right.
Because more people are in prison by their thoughts, by their things, and by their prejudices than by steel bars and barbed wire and concrete combined.
That's exactly right. And anyone who's suffered with addiction knows what it's like to be a prisoner. And I think that that's the perfect summation. I don't want to give away too much of the book because I know there's a lot of great details in there. 6 Dimes in a Nickel by the legend Damon West. What a great story. What a great source of motivation for a lot of people that are going through it. Because there's a lot of people going through shit. And you've been there, I've been there, and I know there's people listening to this that are going through it. And the truth is, and I've spoken at prisons before, and I've told a huge room of inmates, no one in here is a victim. So when you're sitting there thinking, F this judge, F that prosecutor, until you stop blaming other people, you don't get here by accident. You have to really go out of your way to get sentenced to prison.
Yeah.
And for the few rare exceptions, apologies. But no one in here is a victim. And you can see people like, yeah, good point. Most of the people are like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I deserve to be here.
Yeah.
But I think that that's a great message of hope. And I hope that people enjoyed the conversation. I know I loved hearing it and could listen to another 2 hours of stories, especially about the prison.
We'll come back and do a round 2. And if anybody wants to find me out there, I mean, my website is damonwest.org, DAMONWST.org.
Thank you for being here. And we'll have all the links in the show notes, and we'll make sure people can find you.
Awesome, brother. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me, brother. Thanks a lot.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. Please take a quick minute to subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening. This is a new show, so subscribing makes a huge difference. Please also take a minute to give it a review and leave a comment on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. You can also subscribe and leave a comment on YouTube. Again, this is really important for us, especially now since we're just getting started. Please also check out all of our sponsors. They make the show possible, and honestly, I love and use every single product we talk about on the show. You can learn more about me, this podcast, and also find links to purchase my upcoming memoir at theothersideofhard.com. My new book is called Everything You Want Is on the Other Side of Hard, and it comes out March 10th, available everywhere you buy books. Or again, go into theothersideofhard.com. There's multiple links there where you can find all the retailers carrying the book. Thanks a lot for being with us, and we'll see you next week.